We did it. We've just hit 2,000 days in our hardcore world, and in that time we finished our starter island area, and then we moved away to start a new project involving giant biscuits. The last one was incredibly popular, so it makes sense to compile the last 10 episodes into another movie for you to enjoy. And I never usually ask, but according to this, only 1.8% of you that watched the last one were actually subscribed. So if you enjoyed the content, then please do consider subscribing, and we may hit our goal of 25k by the end of the year. We're so close. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea, and let's get on with the show. Last episode, we reached 1,000 days in our hardcore world. We went to the end, punched a dragon, and we got ourselves some wings. And this episode, you can expect to see me doing a whole lot of flying, because I've really missed having wings. But apart from just flying around, we've got a lot of little unfinished projects around our island, and I want to put in some effort to actually get those cleaned up and done. One of those things being emptying these chests and getting this sorted. But other things we never quite finished and do need to tidy up include, but are not limited to, this chest monster over by the mangrove tree farm, texturing the roof on the back of my starter house. Yeah, I know, don't judge me. The interior of the tavern, a much better storage system for the iron farm, the coastline and the gardens around the back of the tavern, terraforming the entire front side of my island, giving the pink sheep here a home, a logging camp on the roof of the mangrove tree farm, a bridge connecting that farm to everything else, and a windmill, and of course an entire village transformation. And I think that's pretty much everything I've mentioned that I would do and haven't actually done yet. So yeah, we've got our work cut out for us today. Now don't get me wrong, we're probably not going to tick all of those things off today, but we're certainly going to be working our way through them. I really do want to get the rest of this island tidied up and looking great. And as I say, we've got lots of interior bits and bobs. In fact, there's other things that I've completely missed as well. The interior of this farm here. I mean, look at this. It's still got a grass floor. So yeah, certainly lots to do. I think the first thing on the list we're going to tackle is going to be the interior of the tavern here, because these storage boxes are overflowing. There's just too much stuff coming off this farm, which is great, of course, but at the same time, it's a pain in the butt to sort out. So I want to put in an auto sorting system, which we're probably going to do down the bottom here. And then up here, we're going to de-sprucify it. There's way too much spruce going on. And we're actually going to try and make some kind of a design where people can actually, you know, sit and make it look pub-like. Don't really know how we're going to achieve that with this massive box in the middle, but we'll do what we can. But first off, we're going to need to sort out down here. So I'm going to empty these chests. We're going to dig out a nice cavern down there where we can put in an automated storage system for all of these lovely, wonderful mob drops we're getting. One hole later, and I think we can start working out where we want to put stuff down here. So, how big did I actually make this hole? And where are we going to have the stairs? Because we do, of course, need to make sure we have a way down here as well. In fact, for now, let's just quickly get some stairs in on this back wall. So what I think I'm going to start doing is laying out where I want some chests to be. We're going to have different sections for the different things that we want to keep, and then we're going to burn any excess, because, of course, we don't need all the arrows. We just need a few. But we definitely want bigger sections for the gunpowder and for the bones. In fact, I think I'm just going to do it as a wall of chests, and we can divide them up as we see fit. But I'm going to need a whole lot more chests than that. Conveniently, we have our mangrove tree farm, and that thing just pumps out the wood. Oh, let me make some space here. But that thing absolutely pumps out the wood, and we've been running it a decent amount because it's our only source of renewable wood at the moment. So I've actually been using mangrove wood to make chests for quite a while. So let's just grab a whole bunch of this. Oh, it feels so nice being able to fly. And now we have a whole bunch more chests. Well, I think that should be more than enough. However, I do also need to make a whole bunch of hoppers. Conveniently, we have an iron farm right here, which is still a mess. And with the hoppers in place, we can now put the sorters in. So let's just put a row of blocks here and a bunch more on the back of those. Need a row of blocks underneath this. Big old row of slabs. Then we'll put a bunch of comparators on the top here and some redstone. You know how these things go. More hoppers looking into the comparators. Bunch of redstone torches underneath. And a bunch of repeaters on the back. But that's where we're running into some problems, because I don't have any more repeaters, and I only got 20 redstone. We're going to need about another 15 or so for the back here, and that means we're going to have to go digging again because, well, we're out of redstone again. So according to this handy chart, the best place to get redstone is going to be as low down as possible. And conveniently down here in our mine, we do actually have a level right at bedrock. So this is the level we've actually been mining out for diamonds so far, but if we go down a level, we have a whole other area and a wall of lava. But yeah, we've done a little bit of digging down here last time we were after redstone. So where are we up to? Here? Right, let's see what we can find. I mean, we don't need loads right now, but we definitely need some. And here's our first bit. Excellent. Short amount of mining later, and we've got enough redstone. We've got about a stack and a half, and we were lucky enough we actually found 21 diamonds as well, which for 10 minutes mining isn't too bad at all. Gotta love that fortune pick. Place the rest of these across the back here. Put some blocks on the back of those. And lastly, we'll get some redstone on top of these. And now in theory, I should be able to put stuff in here and it will stay in there until we get over 41. Is that how it works? I think that's how it works. So it's 40, 41, and then the 42nd one should filter through. Perfect. That'll be in the bottom. Marvellous. So with that done, the next thing we need to do is get things from here over to here so they can actually be sorted out. And to be honest, I'm probably just going to use hoppers. Do I want to use hoppers? I suppose with the rate the items come out, hoppers are going to be able to keep up just fine. So yeah, we're going to need a bunch more of these, aren't we? But we'll use what we've got first. And we need to rotate all of these around as well because these are all facing the wrong way now. And then we just need to connect all of these up so everything feeds into that hopper over there. So there's a whole lot of hoppers around here, and that's generally bad for world lag and things like that. But if we put composters on top, then that'll actually help to reduce the lag. Apparently, I have absolutely no idea why. But we don't need to know why, we just need to know that it works. And that is all of my hoppers covered up. So with that sorted, the next thing to do is to sort out some filters around the back here. So let's just chuck down an anvil. That has something in it for some reason. Oh, a hopper, of course. Rename these sticks to filter. And then we're just going to put 5 in every single one for now so that nothing will fall in. And I think at the end here, what we'll do is, because of witch drops, they're not going to be very common, mainly because we've actually got fire, flamey bits at the bottom there, and they just drink a potion and chill there for a while. But we'll just have a general collection bit at the end here anyway, and I guess that'll also deal with any overflow we might get. So with that done, now we need to decorate the room. Just like that, the room is finished. As you can see, I've been extremely creative with this. I've made the basement of the pub look like a basement of a pub. Well, not even a pub basement, really. It's just the basement, isn't it? But it does the job. We've got everything being sorted out into these boxes here. I've also moved the stuff down from upstairs. Speaking of which, that's our next task. Because we need to make this area here actually look like more of a pub. And I don't really know how we're going to do that. I think the first thing I'm going to do is move this down. I believe, if we have a little look, we should have plenty of space down there now, so we can actually open up some space here. But I really want to open out this because this is just a monstrosity in the center of the room, and I don't know how best to do that. I mean, we could just use more glass and put in more glass walls, but I don't really think that's going to solve our problem. However, we could maybe use a combination of sort of trapdoors and like tables attached to the side of it maybe, and save a bit of space. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to have a little play around in this area, and I'm also going to sort out the iron farm through here. We just want to put some better storage in here. We'll probably end up rotating this around that way so we can actually get lots of storage in, because as you can see, I have been condensing the iron down into blocks and it still fills up very, very quickly. Not so much the bone mill. So I guess we'll get started in here, and the very first thing I want to do is actually just to move this. This needs to go. So we've moved that below floor level, and I guess what I want to do now is figure out what we're actually going to do with the rest of this interior. We've got a little bit of space to work with, not much though. So I think I'm just going to crack on and I'll bring you back in once we've made some progress. I've lowered the floor by a block to make it feel taller, I've replaced the centre here with glass, and I've just made a start on the decoration. But now we need to make the rest of this look like a pub. Making some good progress on the interior, but I've ran out of bits and things that I need, and you may notice for a pub is missing cups, and I just have absolutely no clay, so I need to go get myself some clay. I need to make myself some clay pots, and they are going to represent mugs, but we could also do with a few other small bits of detail here and there, maybe a little entrance carpet here at this side entrance, and of course I still need to sort out the iron farm as well. But although not perfect, it's certainly looking better. Job done. Now onto the iron farm. There we go, that that should do the trick. We've got many more chests for the iron, and we're sorting out the bone meal into this separate chest down here, and we've got lots and lots of storage here for all the iron blocks. So with that room done as well, I think we're just about done with the tavern, at least on the interior. So with the interior done, our next task is, of course, the exterior, and the first part of that is going to be to remove this big square chunk off the back, because this was here from when we were originally going to turn this into a big fort area, and this was going to be a big tower and so on, but we just don't need it now, and it's kind of in the way, and I'd like to smooth this off, I think. It's time to get digging. Well, that's already looking much better. We've just extended the wall down, cut off this chunk at the back, and we've given it some texture, but we've still got a lot more to do. I need to sort out the walls at the top here. We need to get the garden in, which is probably just going to be a few trees and stuff. And we need to extend that all the way around. We're probably going to have mostly a path actually going around this way here and connecting up to the front of the pub, or tavern, I should say. I should start calling it a tavern. That is what it is after all. And I may even get some basalt as well and put a little bit across the coastline here. And then I suppose we need to tidy up this back bit here as well, and oh my days, there's just so much to do. Let's keep going. And I think with that, we're just about done round the back of the tavern as well. I've kept it quite simple. I didn't want to overdo it round the back here. I just didn't want to leave it how it was. So we've just got a few sort of overflow bits of storage and junk, and we've got a very basic path. And I've just planted a few azalea trees, to be honest. I've also sorted out that weird little sticky outy banky bit we had down the bottom there. I pretty much just spammed the whole thing with bone meal and a little bit of moss, and that certainly looks a lot better. Everything's tying in much better around this side, and that means we can move on to our next thing that we're going to do. And it's probably not going to be something around the base, and it's probably not going to be something that was on our list. Mainly because I haven't done anywhere near enough flying around, and to be honest, I would really like to explore a little bit further. We have done some exploring on our boat around the general area, maybe 1,000 or so blocks out, but I want to go a little bit further. I want to see what's around here, and there's probably some biomes we haven't found yet, and one thing I really want to find is some dripstone, which means I want to find a great big dripstone cave entrance, because that's one thing we just haven't come across yet. So I guess I'm going to empty my inventory, and then we're going to take to the skies, and I should probably actually mend my elytra first as well. They're a little bit damaged. We've got a whole bunch of rockets. Everything's healed up nicely. We've even got some extra bits in our ender chest, so we should have everything we need. And we've also got a list of things that we're going to be looking for while we're out and about. Some things we just need to stock up on, and others we haven't even found yet. So cue the awesome music. Let's go flying. Not that music, Beardy. Put something better on, jeez. Finally found some dripstone. This has taken absolutely forever, but we're going to grab a bunch of it. We mainly want the spiky bits so we can make more, but we'll grab some of the blocks as well while we're here. But at least that's one thing ticked off our list. Yay, panda. Oh, there's a turtle. And there's a baby one too. Look at that. Oh my god. And here we go, we've finally found some ice as well. We need a whole bunch of this. Oh, and there's a cute polar bear. And a little baby polar bear as well. Amazing. So let's just grab a bunch of this, shall we? Oh, there's a box. How cute are they? Oh, he's looking at me. Hey, buddy. But we've made it back. We managed to tick most things off of our list, but the one thing we're still missing is sunflowers, which, considering the distance we covered, is actually quite surprising. I thought that would be one of the easy things to find. And we got some new decorations too, but we don't need to talk about those. But the good thing is we managed to get a whole bunch of flying in, and that certainly makes me feel better. So we had an absolute buttload of things on our list today, and we've achieved not many of them, really. We managed to clear out the boxes that were up here, and we've done lots and lots of stuff in the tavern. But sadly, we're just about out of time for today, so we're going to have to carry on with that list in the next episode. Welcome back to another episode of Hardcore Minecraft. In the last episode, we reeled off a big old list of things that we haven't completed yet that we said we'd do, and this episode we're going to carry on with some of those things because, well, it was quite a big list after all. But last episode we did do the interior of the tavern here, and as you can see, it still looks like a tavern. It's marvellous. I haven't actually done anything in between episodes. I do like the way this has actually turned out, and I think I'm happy enough with this to move on. And I did have some suggestions out the back here to turn this into more of a beer garden type thing, but I did actually decide against that because of the theme of the area. I figured putting in a beer garden in just such a tiny little area like that, I don't know, it just didn't really feel like the right thing to do, and that's why we've done it a bit more open. But between episodes, I've also done a little bit more on the coastline around here, and that does mean that we've only got this front side here left to do. So I think that's what we're going to do first, and I haven't really got any ideas of how I want to do this. Let's have a little look at the area here. I mean, it's a very awkward shape out here. I'm not really too sure what to do. We might have to bridge some of this gap a little bit. I don't really know. So, where to begin? Oh, great. It's just started raining. Fantastic. So I've had a little look around the area. I've been standing here staring at it for about 5 minutes, and I still don't really have any conclusions on what I'm actually going to do with this sort of coastal edge. I'm more used to having sort of a bit of height, more space, and would put in a dock, that sort of thing, but that's clearly not going to work here. But one thing I've decided I definitely do need to do is to sort out the shape of the land at the front here. It's just a little bit too janky at the moment. It's very difficult to work with. So let's see if we can just smooth off this coastline a little bit, and hopefully that'll stir the creative juices and we can figure out what to do with the rest of this area. And hopefully the rain will clear up too. Ugh. A few minutes later and that shape should be a lot easier to work with, and I think I've formulated a very, very tiny bit of a plan, and I don't really know if it's going to work or not, but let's give it a go. So what I'm thinking is, over here, we might put some kind of small fishing shack type thing. Doesn't need to be anything too big, and then we can have a jetty that goes out and just make a very, very small fishing dock on this side here. That is, of course, going to leave lots of space over this side, and I think what I might do over this area is just make it a little bit more wild. Put in a couple of little trees, maybe a couple of gardens, might even add in an extra small field, although I do need to change the crop in that field, really. We've got way too much wheat over there to need any over here too. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time placing some blocks over here, and we'll see if we can get something that looks, well, okay, and make sure it actually fits in with the area quite nicely. That would be good, wouldn't it? Some good progress over here, and I think I've marked out the kind of footprint of this little build. I'm making it more of a small cottage, I guess, with a kind of fishing jetty type thing going off to the side, somewhere we can pull up the boats as well, and I'm just going to carry on playing around with this. It's all very sprucey as usual at the moment, but I do of course want to tie it in with the rest of the build, make sure it all matches up nicely, and then of course we need to connect it all up to the rest of the infrastructure around here. The very next step to do though will be to get a roof on this thing. Is starting to take shape now, although I think I'm going to change that top bit there. I really don't like the look of it now that I see it from outside, but we've got lots of detailing to do. We've still got some texturing to do, but the roof's looking pretty good, and if we go out here, it's looking pretty good from this side as well. In fact, that actually fits in very well. I do like that. So we've got lots still to do. Let's just crack on and get this done. too shabby. That's all looking pretty good. Although I really do need to pluck up the courage to do some more custom trees. Although the azalea trees look okay, they're clearly still just default Minecraft trees, and putting in some custom trees will really help this area. So although we're crossing things off our list, I guess we're also adding some things to it as well. But I'm really pleased with how the fishing hut has come out. It's looking pretty good around here. It still needs a few small detailed bits. I just need to get some sort of put out fires, I think, just to adjust some of the heights of these little collections of boxes and things. And I've tried to add in some little details like sort of some fish on ice and kind of like a fishing net. I was going to use some cobwebs, but I don't actually have any at the moment. So yeah, I've just used these for now. But I think that works and kind of gives the effect I'm after. But once we got the hut and the path connected up, I figured we should probably start working out the rest of the land as well. So from this side, the island's actually looking pretty complete now. We've got the coastline in along the front here as well. And of course, I did blow up my front yard and I turned that into another small lake because I didn't really want to put a building in there and block the view that this house has of the ocean. But I have still got one area over here that I haven't actually decided what to do with yet. But I think what we'll do is we'll save this last little bit of this starter island for another day. But if you do have an idea of what you think would look good there, I don't think another build would be a good idea, like another big building, because it's just going to block the view. But I don't want to just do more sort of wildy stuff, so I don't really know what to do. Do let me know in the comments what you think I should put there, and hopefully we can get something added next episode. That is really close to my face. So with our starting island starting to look pretty cool, it's time we moved on to our next thing, and that I think is going to be the windmill I want to put in over here, because that's going to sit really nicely at the back of all these cornfields. And to be honest, what better use of a space like this? I don't really have much of a plan for this, however. I've just got some stone and some dark oak for now, so I can start marking something out, but I'll bring you back in when hopefully we'll have something a little bit better to show. We're making some really good progress on the windmill over here. I think I've got the shape of the base in. We've also got a storage shed off to the side here where we're going to be storing some wheat and things like that. And we've got the ground floor in. But now I need to actually put the towery bit on the top. And hopefully we can get this looking really good. Progress has been made, and I know there's a lot of diorite. Don't panic, it's not going to look like that when we're done. It's just a placeholder. I mean, diorite's good in small doses, but like that, that's just going to be way too much. However, that does at least give you an idea of the colour palette we're going with. You may also notice I've actually moved the storage shed. That's gone from here and is now over this side, and we're going to have a path that goes through here, which will lead to a bridge up to the logging camp and so on. And that does also mean that I've moved the entrance round to this side. This will be our main entrance into the windmill, but at the moment, as you can see, it is missing its most vital component, and it's also missing a roof, so I guess that's the next step. Well, I think shape-wise, that's coming along quite nicely. It is, of course, lacking a severe amount of detail, and this diorite, you can see why we couldn't leave it like that. It's blending in with the blades at the moment, which ultimately I wouldn't mind doing in a different colour, like a light grey or something, instead of this white. However, I just don't have any dye at the moment, so, well, for now they're white. But we've still got lots of work to do elsewhere on this build anyway. Although we've got the shape in, we've got absolutely no detail, no texturing, no windows or anything like that. But before we can do that, we do need to go get ourselves a few more resources resources. I need to make myself some concrete powder for this top area here, which means I need to go get myself some sand and some gravel, which hopefully won't be too difficult. But I also need to get myself a whole bunch of leaves and other bits and bobs to make this area look nice, because we do of course need to do the landscape around it as well, not just the build itself. We need windows, we need to sort out the floors on the inside as well, because I do have something I want to put in here later on in the episode. And it really doesn't need anywhere near this much space, but either way, at least we've got somewhere to put it. So let's go grab a bunch of stuff and things and try and get this thing looking a little bit fancier, shall we? So I spent the next few hours texturing the lighthouse, starting with the stone at the bottom, mixing in a bit of moss and some mossy cobble and bits like that, and then we sorted out the diorite wall, which I'm sure you would agree starts to look a lot better once we get rid of all that noisy diorite. I then added in a few windows, I sorted out the oak area as well, put some windows on the corners, and the last thing to do was to add some lights, because it was looking a bit dark. I also spawn-proofed all of the roofs to prevent any accidents, and then filled the storage sheds with some hay bales and a few other barrels and chests and things like that. And that brings you up to date with where we are now, and this is really starting to take shape. However, I still haven't harvested a bunch of leaves, which is definitely something I need to do, because this is definitely lacking a little bit of foliage. I also still need to sort out all the landscape around the back here, and even out the front as well. There's a few patches where I haven't sorted anything out yet, like here. So let's quickly harvest a bunch of leaves and see what we can do. There we go, a little bit of foliage later, and I think we're looking much better than we were. I've also sorted out the front here, and also round the sides, and for now, I've just found a bit of moss and a few trees down here, because, of course, we will be having a path out the back, and I'm probably going to link it up round the side here as well. But that path out the back here is going to continue out this way, head in this sort of general direction. We'll sort that out another day, but we are going to have a bridge that goes across and connects up to our mangrove farm. The next step over here, however, means we need to go inside, because we haven't actually put a floor in here yet, and I want to get a few more up above as well. So let's crack on with that. And just like that, we have a very basic floor in, and I've not even finished it here, look, but as you can see, I have put in an upper floor as well. I haven't bothered with the rest just yet, because I want to crack on and actually get the device in here that this whole building is all about. And it really isn't going to need this much space. Although I do need to do some testing beforehand to see if I can actually get it to work. And what we're going to be building is going to be a micro farm, so we can get lots and lots of wheat and carrots and potatoes as and when we need them. But the problem is, I've only ever done one of these in Bedrock, and I know how they work in Bedrock, and they're a little bit slow. But I'm pretty sure in Java you can do faster ones, but I do need to do some tests before we actually do anything. So let's dig a little hole. Let's just put some water in there. We'll put a block on top, and I think if we hoe that, is that gonna, nope, that's not gonna work. Okay, the water does need to go next to it. That's our first mistake. I'm pretty sure we learned that earlier in the series. So let's just do that and put the water there for now, and we'll just block off the back. We will hoe that. And what I want to test is darkness, because I'm fairly sure on Java, if we were to plant something here, which I can't, why can't I even plant that? Is that because of this, maybe? Right, okay, I think I figured it out. That does pretty much prove my point, and that point is, if we get rid of the lights... Why is it not doing it now? Okay, so that made it break. But if I put the light back, and I put it there, I can plant. If I get rid of the lights... Okay, now I'm actually a bit confused. So if we do... that... Is that going to break it? That's not breaking it either. Okay, now I'm actually just more confused. Okay, so it broke when I gave it more lights? I'm very confused about this whole thing, but if I remove that light, I can't even plant. But then when I put the light there, I can plant. And then if I block it off and then open it again, no, that seems fine. So if I block it off like that, and then open it again. Right, okay. This is confusing. Very confusing. I don't really know what's going on here. So, in theory, if we were to do something like sticky piston here, put a block there like that, and then we'll just put an observer clock on the back here for now. Okay, we're probably going to need to slow that down a bit. So in theory this works because I am able to place them and break them, and if we were to link up loads of dispensers that were spitting bone meal at it, That should work. I feel like we could get it quicker though. That's not really sticking properly, is it? So if we slow it down ever so slightly, that seems to work a little bit smoother. Okay, let's just quickly disable that for now. And what we're going to do is put down a bunch of dispensers. We'll have one there, and one there. In theory, that should be enough. And we'll get a few hoppers in as well to make sure we can load them up. And then we just need to link up some redstone to these observers. Okay, so that should have all the dispensers firing. Let's get that repeater back in. And I've just put an on and off switch here as well. But in theory, if we do that... Oh, and slow that down a little bit. Nope, that's not going to work. Well, it's quite loud, but it seems to be doing what I want it to do. That's going crazy fast. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Okay, well, I mean, this seems to be doing what I want it to do. Let's just see if we actually get wheat out of this, I guess. I've established we definitely need a slower clock. So I've put in a much smaller clock. This should hopefully do the job a little bit better for us. So if we turn that on... There we go. We have slowed it right down. There's probably a quicker way of doing this, but if we now use some seeds, in theory, this should now produce wheat for us. Yes, look at that. In fact, let's put that there and see how much wheat we're actually getting. Are we getting wheat every time? We are. Look at that. Fantastic. So the timings work. It may not be the quickest thing in the world, but it'll do for us. I just need a collection system now, I guess. So just a hopper and a chest like that should do the job nicely. And an upside down stair there. And we need to make sure we're giving it some light. Obviously, this is all looking a bit janky. We will make it look better. And to be honest, we'll probably be able to make it a bit more compact as well. But if we can get the mechanics figured out, then we can approach that afterwards. And look at that. We are getting all the wheat. And that should be getting collected and picked up into there. It's not currently. It's got too many seeds. That's the problem, look. So I'm probably always going to be better off standing here anyway, so at least the majority of it will go straight into my inventory, but I guess we've got the chest collection down there for overflow, just in case. So now we know it's working. We've got the basic mechanics down. I just need to make this a whole lot more compact. We'll see if we can actually make it look good as well. And hopefully when I bring you back in, this isn't just going to look like a weird contraption in the middle of a room. It'll be slightly off to the side instead. And a short while later, slightly off to the side is where it now sits. I've actually put it at the back of the room and I've centralized the whole thing. The on and off switch is here, and as you can see, it does its job. But I've also just added a few barrels and things like that for extra storage, a big pile of wheat, of course, and I've done absolutely nothing with the upstairs. But I do have future plans for that. The important thing is, for now, we can now get all the wheat that we could possibly want, and it should also work for carrots. That's clearly a potato, but it works for potatoes, and it should also work for the carrots as well. And as you can see, we're getting a whole bunch of carrots down the bottom there. So a simple contraption, but a massive building to house it in. And if we actually look at this area from a distance now, how much cooler does that look with a big windmill at the back? Excellent stuff. And you also get a very cool view as you come over here across the bridge. You can just see it peeking out on the top of a hill, and as you're walking through all the cornfields, I keep calling it corn, it's clearly wheat. But as you're walking through all the wheat fields here as well, you just get a very nice view. You can see right across, you can see the windmill, you've got all the fields around you, and I really do like making immersive landscapes, and this really just ties it up for me. On the last episode of Hardcore Minecraft, we built this windmill and put a tiny micro farm inside it so we can get all the wheat, carrots, and potatoes we could ever need. We also did lots of work on our home island, pretty much terraformed the whole thing that was remaining, apart from this area right here, and I asked you if you had any ideas of what we could put here. But that video's not gone out yet, so, well, I guess we're gonna have to come back to this later, aren't we? Because I've got absolutely no idea. But in this episode, we're gonna be focusing over here behind the windmill. So we do need to get a bridge in over to this island because this island holds our mangrove tree farm. And hopefully at some point in future, we'll actually have a farm down there for the rest of the trees too. But for now, it is just our mangrove farm, and I want to turn this area here into some form of logging camp. Let me land here and we can have a proper look at it. So I want to get some kind of building up here, like a main structure, maybe a couple of other buildings, and we want to make this look like it's an area that's been used for logging. And the first thing we actually need to do before we can start any of that, strangely enough, is lots and lots of logging. I want to remove the trees from this area because I don't actually want it to be birch and spruce. No, not spruce. I don't want it to be birch and oak trees that are here. I do in fact want it to be spruce that's being cut down over this back side because I want to make a lot of use of podzol as well. But the good side of that is I'm almost out of oak and I'm pretty low on birch as well. So this should work out quite well for us. But once the trees over there are gone, I'm going to have a much better idea on the shape of the landscape. We'll be able to put in a proper windy path going up to the top. We can plan out our logging camp, and we're going to have a wonderful time doing so. And later on in the episode as well, I do actually want to do a little bit of adventuring. Yes, adventuring. We haven't done any of that for a while. Let's quickly land. That was a bit painful. But we haven't been adventuring for a while, and I still... Yes, I know. I still don't have a beacon. So, well, we're going to go to the Nether at some point, see if we can find a better fortress to try and get some Wither Skulls from. And now we've got our wings, that should be a lot easier. Well, all the trees have gone, and we can now see what we're working with. And there's a few bits we need to tidy up. I mean, there's a massive hole here for a start. We certainly don't want that. But instead of layering this with grass, we do actually want to use a lot of podzol over here. So, well, I guess we need to go find some podzol, because I don't really have much right now. But before we do that, I should probably fix me wings and put away all this stuff. Our wings and our tools are healed. We've got a bunch of rockets. Let's go find ourselves a giant spruce forest, which I believe is just over here somewhere. Hopefully not too far away. And look at that. Only a couple of thousand blocks away, we can see one coming into view. Excellent. So I've got lots and lots of digging to do. I need to grab myself a whole bunch of podzol, and I'm probably going to grab some coarse dirt while I'm here too. And just like that, we have over a shulker's worth of podzol, and there's not a floating tree in sight. It all looks perfectly normal around here. See, look, you'd never know that I'd come by. Let's just put all them back. Yep, that's definitely how trees grow. Floating rocks as well. Perfect. But despite the unwelcome intrusion, that only took a few minutes, but we should have all we need now to sort out that landscape and make some progress on our logging camp. I'm an idiot. I just did all of that podzol collection, and it has actually just occurred to me that if I want podzol, I can just do that and then get all the podzol I need. Jeez, I mean, it's going to result in lots of trees that I need to cut down, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm pretty much out of spruce at the moment. And then, of course, we can replant them again, I guess, once I know where I actually want them for the logging camp. But yeah, for now, let's just get this place covered. Doing that with spruce trees was not the wise thing to do. That took quite a while, but I've also splashed about a bit of podzol elsewhere. We will spread that out further, but this, for now, will at least let us plan out our builds. And the first thing we're going to do is just work out a small house for a logger that lives up here on the hill. So let's just mark out a little bit of area here. This will probably change when we actually get to the build, but as long as we've got it in the right area, that should be fine. So we'll just have something like that over there, and then we also need a sawmill building. And where do we think that should go? To be honest, I'm thinking maybe just over here should be fine. So let's just put down a little area here where we can put one. So that's just going to be some kind of a barn type thing with a big saw inside. And then we're going to have paths that lead down this way. And that is, of course, going to go down to the coast where we'll put in a bridge across the top there. We've got a couple more paths about as well. And we've also got the actual entrance to our mangrove farm here. So we're going to need to hide that somehow. But I don't really know what to do with that, to be honest. We'll cover that one later. But I think what I'm going to do is get these buildings in, because once they're down, we're going to have a much better view of the area and what's left. We're going to know where to put tree stumps. We're going to need to know where to actually plant some more trees, because I do still want to have trees up here, of course. Probably a combination of some giant spruces and some smaller ones on the outsides. But first things first, let's empty all this rubbish and go grab some building materials for this house up here. So I think what we're going to do for this bit here is just make a small oak and stone building. We don't want it to be too big, just a small cottage here up on the hill, maybe with a bit of wood storage out the side, and then we're going to put in the big mill over there. So let's crack on and see how we go. Making some really good progress on the logger's hut over here. I do like the shape. I like how it's coming together, and I think this roof is going to work, but I do need to mix in a few other bits and bobs first. And for that, I think I'm going to use some moss. We're going to get some texture in there. We'll get a bit of overgrowth on the roof as well, and hopefully this is going to look awesome when we're done. There we go, that's looking much better. I'm actually really pleased with how this is coming out, and I think once we get a bit of forest around the back of this, and some cleared forest, I guess, in the front of it, as well as obviously the big saw and everything, this should actually look quite good up here. And if I sound surprised, it's because I am. I didn't really know what I was going to do up here, but it's certainly starting to come together. So let's get the barn up next, I think. think we are just about done with our logging camp. We've managed to get the path all the way in here. I've been a little bit lazy with the trees. I want to put in some custom ones eventually, but, well, we all know how I feel about making custom trees. And to be honest, I just don't have the time right now. So we've just planted a variety of big and small spruce trees. We've got some chopped down ones. We've detailed the landscape. We've got wagons around the place. And even in the barn here, we have a big wood saw and a big pulley system to move it all around. We've got stacks of wood being used. And overall, I'm just really pleased with how this has come out. And when we look at the big picture, it actually looks very cool from over here as well. So overall, I'm very, very pleased, although we do still need to get the bridge in across here. But we're going to come back to that bridge later because it's actually a couple of days later after the intro in real life now, and the other video has gone out. And you've all come up with an absolute buttload of ideas for what we could do down here. And I think I've finally made a decision. So there were lots of calls for a small campsite or a well or something down here, and to be honest, I do actually really like the idea of a well for over here. But that's not to say we're not going to use the campsite idea elsewhere. But I think a well over here and maybe a wagon over this side as well. People were suggesting wagons for sort of transporting the brewery goods and things like that. And I think a wagon down here with a well and just a nice little open area would look really cool. And then what we're going to do over here where we have the sort of lake here, I want to put just a small fishing spot really. So it's just going to be a campfire, a few logs, a couple of trees and bushes and things. Nothing too major and no structures. But I think we're going to use the campsite idea over here. And that will actually complete this entire island. So I think the first thing we'll tackle will be the well over here. No idea what we're going to do for that. Let's just grab some stuff and start placing blocks. That's what we normally do. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get a small path in over this way. And this torch is going to have to move because I think what I want to do is put the well in right here. Question is, how are we going to do this? Let's maybe make a little square first and figure it out from there, I guess. Then maybe we should have some wooden bits in here, and then some kind of pulley system in the middle here for actually doing the things, getting the water and whatnot. Although I'm not sure on that. Maybe we need something a little bit higher up here. And we do, of course, also need to figure out what we want to do for a roof. I have no idea how we're going to do this. Maybe we could do something like this, potentially. Yeah, I think that roof works quite well. It could do with a bit of texturing. Maybe we can get a bit of foliage and a bit of overgrowth on there as well. But overall, I'm very pleased with that. Maybe we should put a bit of support on the side here as well. I think all it potentially needs is maybe just some stairs on these bits here. And we should probably replace the fences we've got jammed in here as well. They don't really look right. There we go. That's better. So let's just quickly mess up the roof a little bit. We'll get some foliage on here and maybe have that breaching down the sides as well. And I have actually pushed this down a little bit here so that we can do that and get a bit of water in there. Perfect. And maybe what we could also do actually is waterlog some of these stairs in the area just to make it look like there's some puddles around the well as well. Perfect. And then we just maybe need a little bit of foliage around here as well just to sort out the last little bit of this coastline. Get a little bit of coarse dirt mixed up in this and some finishing details. Can we put a lantern there? We can't. Ah, that's a shame. I mean, we could hang one from here, I guess. Yeah, that works. But we'll also mix in a little bit of mud and some spruce into the path as well. Got to make sure we're being consistent. So with the well looking pretty good, I think what I want to do now is get a wagon in over here. So first things first, let's make a nice little area for it. So that was simple enough. Now to get a wagon in here. So first up, we need some wheels. And then let's put the bottom part in. And maybe we should have a couple of trapdoors sticking out the back as well. Have some handles on the front there for giving it a pull. And I want to load this up with barrels and maybe a chest or two as well. In fact, we're going to need to potentially put some seats on the front of that. Let's use some dark oak. And we'll get a couple of chests on there as well, and maybe a lantern. Do we have a lantern? We do. Perfect. And I reckon if we use some signs like this, we can make it look like it's all being held in nicely. Well, I think the wheels do look better at the back here, so let's actually just move this back by one. Perfect. I say perfect. It would be more perfect if I actually used the right trapdoor. There we go. Excellent. And I think while we're in wagon mode, let's just add a couple of wagons about the place to add a bit of life as well, shall we? Just 4 trapdoors. We want 3 of those, a gate on the front, and then we'll just load it up with a couple of stuff and things. It's a good place to put lanterns, actually, and maybe a chest on the front as well. Perfect. Look at that. Cheeky little wagon. And I think I'm going to put another one here as well outside the blacksmith. And there we go. Another wagon with a saw on the back. It's these little details like this that really do bring life to the village. I think that might be the first time I've actually called it a village. Are there enough buildings now for it to be a village? Probably. But enough getting distracted with wagons. I think that's looking pretty good. I think we can finally say that this part of the island is done. It's just that bit at the back there now. Let's quickly go sort something out with some campfires and whatnot. So up here, the first thing I want to do is just put in a small path to where the camping area is going to be, which is going to be right around here. So let's just mark out an area roughly around here. And we want to make sure there's like a little path up to the lake as well. Literally just going to dump a campfire right there, I think. Mix in a little bit of coarse dirt. Get a barrel down, of course. And we want to give them some seats. So maybe we should actually use spruce slabs potentially. Yeah, I think they work quite well, actually. Get a couple more barrels. We'll have some extra firewood. Let's put those out. In fact, that one's not in a very good place. Let's put that over here. Of course, we're going to need a lantern as well. Let's put one on there. Get some coarse dirt on the path like always. We love a bit of coarse dirt. And then maybe we'll add in a couple of fences just for a little bit of safety. Although I don't like those fence gates. Let's get rid of those. Stick with some normal fence, I think. A little bit more foliage. A little bit of bone meal, of course. Got to get those grass bits in. And then we'll put a few little tankards laying around as if they've been up drinking all night. That's just witchcraft, not there. Maybe put one there instead. And perfect, we have a little campsite over here. And I think with that, this island might actually now be finished, which has been a long time coming, to be honest. But yep, I think we are actually done. Our starter island is now officially complete, although I might mess around with the coastline here and there a little bit. There's a couple of bits that could probably do with tidying up. But overall, I'm really pleased with how this area has turned out. It's been a lot of fun building here. But now the fun is over. We need to go to the Nether. We need to try and find ourselves a better fortress. And of course, get some wither skulls, because I still don't have a beacon. And we should at least start making some progress towards getting that, right? And hopefully I've got everything on me I'm going to need in order to stay alive. But I'm sure we'll find out soon, won't we? So my thinking is we've gone exploring that way. We've gone that way a little bit as well. But we haven't really been in this direction. So, well, wish me luck. I'm going to make sure I've got my potions a little bit more handy than I currently do, and maybe some blocks handy as well. I'm sure this will be fine. Oh, it's a dead end. And there it is, our third skull. Amazing. Now we just need to try and find our way home. I have absolutely no idea how to get home. Well, we made it home. We have our 3 wither skulls around us, and I will, of course, be using them to fight a wither and get ourselves a beacon. Just not right now. Because right now, we've got a bridge to build over here. And a short while later, we've now got all of the path connected up. We can get all the way up to the logging camp. We have this wonderful bridge here, which I'm actually very pleased with. It was kind of off the cuff, but I like how it's come out. It's fairly basic, but at the same time, if we have a look from the side here, I think it is actually looking quite cool and works nicely and just helps to tie in this last area to the rest of our build. But that's quite a lot of work for today. I'm very pleased with how that's come out, and to be honest, I'm quite pleased I survived the Nether as well. I really don't like that place. About 4 months ago, we started a brand new hardcore world, and in that time we've converted an entire island and made it look pretty cool, if I do say so myself. We've planted an enormous wheat field and built a windmill. We built a logging camp, and we built a whole bunch of awesome farms. And eventually we even got ourselves some wings as well, but that appears to have made a whole lot of you quite nervous. I can't think why. Nothing to do with the last hardcore world ending, I'm sure. And I've had a whole bunch of you telling me I need to get myself a totem or two. And I think that's what we're going to do today. One thing we're not going to do, however, is make a raid farm. What we're actually going to do is just do a raid. We're just going to do a normal raid. We're going to find a nice village and do a raid. Nothing special about it whatsoever. Nope. By which I mean, let's go grab a shulker box full of goodies. Because the problem with raids is, well, let's be honest, they're quite boring. So I'm going to see if I can make our raid a little bit more exciting. And for that, we're going to need a whole bunch of redstone. We're going to need some dispensers, hoppers, pistons, all sorts. And what we're going to do is, well, we're going to try and make this a bit more of a cinematic masterpiece instead of just a pillager raid. Where's the fun in that? But I don't know exactly what I'm going to need, so I'm just going to dump a whole bunch of stuff in this box and maybe another couple of boxes, and then we're going to go on a bit of an exploration and find ourselves a perfect village for a raid. A super fun cinematic over-the-top raid, of course. So I've gathered a bunch of stuff together. I think I've got everything I need. Look at all those arrows. They're going to come in very handy, as is the TNT. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. What we need to do now is go to bed. Clearly, the sun's gone down. And don't worry, we'll be making use of these later in the episode as well. But for now, what we need to do is go find ourselves a lovely village. A nice, quaint village somewhere off in the distance that's not too close to any of my stuff. And, well, plan our setup, I guess. And I'm thinking my best hope for a village is probably going to be off in this direction, because over here there's lots and lots of plains and we want somewhere that's quite open, ideally. And I guess something else that would be useful would actually be to have some kind of an outpost fairly nearby so we can actually get bad omens. So we're looking for a village near an outpost. There's quite a cool village here that could be good for us. We could set up a few things around here to take care of any kind of raids, but I'm going to look a little bit further afield just in case there's something better around the corner. I mean, you never know, do you? And we also need to see if there's an outpost nearby as well while I think of it. So I think I've found our location. We've got a pillager tower over here, and if we go just over this way, we have a wonderful plains village. It's got some lovely rolling hills, good views, and most importantly, if we get a bit closer, it's got some very good sight lines, and that's definitely something we're going to want for this. So I guess the next step for me is to plan. And that plan's going to involve a few steps. What we want to be doing is kind of funneling the pillagers into specific locations, and that's where we're going to, well, deal with them. But a large point of attack does seem to be this way here. I imagine they're probably going to come running over the hills as well, and they're also probably quite likely to sort of spawn up on that side. I don't imagine there's going to be too many spawns coming from this side, mainly because we've got the coastline here and there's just not so much space. So we're going to focus more heavily on this side, that side, and of course the hill at the top here. And I think this point here is going to be the perfect location for our very first weapon, let's say. Weapon of warfare. And also quite possibly one of the ones I'm most excited about building. So first up, let's just make a little bit of space over here. We're going to be looking at this kind of area as our field of fire, let's say. So we've got a bit of a platform to put this on. That should be enough. And what we're going to be making is an arrow storm cannon thing. So this is the design by Timberforge, and I'm pretty much going to be following a tutorial, and hopefully the results of this should be absolutely devastating if they come from that direction. But we might build a couple more elsewhere as well, just to cover our bases. To get this started, what we want to do is... Great, the rain's just started. Fantastic. But we'll get some furnaces down there, and then we need a couple of dispensers on either side. We'll put one there, and we need another dispenser facing this way. And then we'll get some redstone across the top here and put a button on the back of there, and this is going to be the bit that actually launches the arrows. So yeah, this is going to dispense TNT, and that's going to cause all the destruction in theory. So this redstone here will do the timer system, which is going to attach to this sticky piston, and then we need a whole bunch of slime blocks up the top here, and then we'll get a couple more furnaces in for reasons. But in theory, if we now push that, what that will do is that's going to actually put TNT in here, and then after the timer goes off, that'll drop, and then all the arrows get shot that way. But before we can test it, we do need to get the arrow dispensers in, and they need to go up above here. Well, we're almost there, but it has come to my attention that I have not brought enough dispensers with me, and as I don't have any string or bows either, I can't actually make any out here, so I need to go fly the 2,000 or so blocks home just to go get myself some more dispensers. It will totally be worth it, though. Hopefully. More dispensers acquired, let's head back to the village. Although actually thinking about it, while I'm here, I should probably fix me wings. Wings are fixed, let's go. So now we've got enough dispensers, we can get some more in up here. In fact, I think we want to do it a bit more like this. And with redstone on top of those dispensers, that should just about do it. So in theory... Yep, we can hear the clicking. That is definitely working. Excellent. I need to go get myself a bucket of water. Conveniently, there's a massive river right here. So we put the water in there. And then we load up some TNT into these dispensers. And then I need to put a whole bunch of arrows into all of these. Let's just stick a couple of stacks in each for now. That should be fine. So I think we've got everything right. I'm just going to watch the end of this video and make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So it looks like I have got everything. So the first thing we need to do is get lots of arrows on this platform. When we do that, with this lever here. Oh my, that's loud. Right, well, that'll do for our test. That is a lot of arrows. And now, in theory, if we push this button, magic should happen. I'm standing back. I'm standing back. Wow. Look at that area of coverage. That is... that thing's amazing. Excellent. And that was with a very small amount of arrows as well. If we left that thing running to load it up, we could absolutely carpet this entire area. Oh, these poor cows are not going to stand a chance. I'm very much looking forward to using that in battle. I don't know why I'm collecting all these arrows. I really don't need them. Right. So that's part of our defensive strategy. That's all good, but only if they come from this direction. And that means we're going to need other traps elsewhere and other devices and things like that to protect these poor villagers. So I think one thing we could probably do with is a little bit of fortification. So what I might actually do is put in a little wall across the front here as well. And maybe we could even put some defenses on front of that wall. And then we'll do something similar over this side as well. In order to do that, though, I'm going to need a whole lot more blocks. I don't really have enough blocks for building walls or anything like that. So, well, I guess we're going to go home again. We're going to gather some blocks. And when we come back here, we will get some more defenses up. But once again, if you do want to check out this arrow cannon, it is by Timberforge. There'll be a link in the description. And it's a lot of fun. Got a wall down and I built a tower around the arrow cannon because I wanted to have a good view of the battlefield when I use it. As you can see, I have tested it to make sure it still works, but we'll save the rest of that testing for the battle. But I've moved both switches up here, so this one here will load the arrows and this one here sets off the TNT. But what I've also done is put a wall all around the village, but obviously we don't want to be making this too easy because easy is going to be boring. So what I've also done is left a few gates basically, and we've got gates on 3 of the 4 sides. I didn't bother at the back because they're unlikely to come from that way anyway, but that means we can actually funnel them into specific areas, because if they're trying to get to the villagers and they're coming from this direction, for example, and they survive the arrow storm, they're going to have to go through that gate. And it's a similar thing on the other sides as well. So what we're going to do is add a few more traps, and I think the first one I'm going to do is actually going to be right at the entrance to this gate here. And what I want to do is add a death pit basically. So I want to have an area that's fairly large, maybe this sort of size. And, well, we're going to have it so that the floor will be removed when I press a button and everything will fall down onto probably dripstone spikes, because that way I don't have to dig the hole down quite as far. But I think an area this big should be plenty to catch a whole bunch of pillagers. So, yeah, didn't want to do that. I need to actually dig this out down a bit further. So if we go down about 10 blocks or so, that should be enough to kill them when they land on the spikes. Well, that's a mighty fine looking hole, and hopefully that's going to be deep enough to kill them when we actually drop them directly onto the bad things. But for now, what I need to do is sort out the actual trigger mechanism, and for that, I guess we want a piston there. And if I put a sign there, and in theory, what I can do is just attach... Okay, this might be more awkward than I thought. But what I can do is attach a whole bunch of signs to this, and we'll, of course, cover up this side here. And then, in theory, all I'd need to do is to flick a lever here. No? What? This piston seems to have no interest in being powered. Strange is that? Is it because of the sign? It is. Okay, I wonder. If I was to do that, however... Okay, so we've got to do it slightly differently. That was confusing for me. Right, so if we get a redstone torch, and then we make sure that is powered, and we remove these ones here, because these are no good. In theory, we can just do this, and let me put a block here. And the same on this side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place gravel on top of all these signs and the piston bit and so on. So when we now power this, it should make the floor drop down. And that's exactly what we want. Excellent. So let's get this built up, and we'll put the switch somewhere a bit more useful as well. Although before we get all those fences in, I think I'm going to make my life a little bit easier and get all the spikes in first. The pit is full of spikes. Now to sort out the rest of these signs, which is going to be a little bit awkward. But I reckon if we place the gravel as we go, that should definitely help. And with that is that trap all sorted. We just need to put in the trigger mechanism now, and I think I'm going to put that up the top here, which means we're going to need to make some kind of little redstone tower here, I think. And that should just about do it. I've just put in an observer tower, and it's got a lever on top. So when I pull that lever, that will remove the floor. Simple as that. Not going to test that, though, because that took forever to set up. So the only issue with the pit is it's basically one use. So once that's happened, they're going to be able to break through. So what I want to do is, I wonder, can we automate the creation of these? We would put a dispenser there and put a carved pumpkin in it, and then power this. Will that make a golem? Let's get rid of these bits here as well. But will that make a golem? It will. Amazing. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a little area here where we can create some golems. And I think if we do it from above, that should also stop them from taking damage. What I'm going to do is just put a little squad of maybe 4 golems here, which is probably more than we're going to need, but it's going to look cooler than just having 1 or 2 up here, right? And what I'll do is I'll put a button on this side, and we're just going to run a little bit of redstone across these. Give it a quick repeater there just to make sure it's definitely got enough power for them all. But then pressing that button should fire the dispensers. Excellent. We just need to actually put the pumpkins in now. So I'd say that this gate here is pretty well defended. Now we need to do the gate at the top here. And in fact, I think I'm going to put one of those little golem army things down by this gate as well, just because they look like they're going to be a lot of fun. There we go. A few more golems, good to go. But up at this top one here, I think we're going to go a little bit more old school. And I quite like the idea of maybe just putting in some lava. So if we put a row of dispensers across the bottom there, and then literally just put pressure plates all around, get rid of that, grab ourselves a little bit of lava, and quite simply just put those in here. So now in theory, when those things get walked on, instant lava, and then we can turn them off again as well. Excellent. So hopefully that'll slow them down a little bit from this direction. I think what I'm going to do is actually put a bit of a minefield round the back here, because we don't really have any protection down here, but this will just give us a bit of an early warning if stuff is arriving from this direction, and it's going to be as simple as that. And we'll just dot a few of these around and try not to run on them once we place them. So I think we're just about ready. I have got a couple of other surprises in store as well, but I'm not going to show you everything, am I? Otherwise you wouldn't watch the cinematic. But we don't want to be doing this in the rain, so I'm going to wait for the weather to pass. I'm going to clear up a couple of little bits around here and make sure that we're ready for the raid. And then the battle will commence. And I'm quite excited about this. Partly because I'm looking forward to getting a totem finally. The weather has cleared. I think we're just about ready. So let's head off to this tower and see if we can get ourselves some bad omen. Where is it? There it is. Right, there's the captain. Let's see if we can get him. Yes, there we go. Right, we've got bad omen. That took a lot longer than I care to admit. But that means we are now ready, finally, to do our villager raid, get ourselves some totems. Let's engage cinematic mode, shall we? hope you enjoyed that. I know I did. I've just finished editing that, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. Despite the fact that the drop trap completely failed. I completely missed. I shouldn't have left that space up against the edge. And the arrow thing, I mean, it looked cool, but it wasn't actually that useful at the end. But most importantly, we've managed to get ourselves 6 totems of undying, as well as a few other bits and bobs. And in fact, I'm going to take one of them right now. So we did actually end up doing 2 raids here in the end, just because the first one wasn't that interesting. They kept spawning at the back here. But now, though, we'll leave that village be and fly home. We can always go back there if ever we need to get more totems. And, you know, we might make a raid farm eventually. Who knows? And I might have to add some kind of pack that makes the totem smaller. It's taking up loads of my screen. Jeez. Last episode, I put way too much effort into a pillager raid by building lots of siege weapons and traps and things like that didn't really work particularly well. But we had a lot of fun building them. And most importantly, we got ourselves a totem as well, which is going to be very useful for today's episode, because we're finally going to be fighting the Wither.
I smell fear on you.
But we're not just going to do that normally either, are we? I mean, we can't. After that pillager raid, how can we just fight a Wither or even just cheese a Wither? We're not going to be doing that. Oh no. Building traps for a Wither is not going to be very effective because, well, it's a Wither. And although I've fought the Wither lots and lots on Bedrock, I haven't really fought the Java Wither all that much. And the Bedrock one's generally a lot more terrifying from what I understand. But that means that I don't actually know the attack patterns of the Java one. So that could be a slight problem. And although we can't use traps against the Wither, I do have a couple of tricks up my sleeve. So once again, we're going to grab some redstone as well as some other bits and bobs and, wow, okay, yeah, I need to go get some redstone first, it would seem. And hopefully we can swing the fight a bit more in our direction. But it does look like I need to go mining first. So I'm going to go do that and get everything ready. And then once we've done that, we're going to go find ourselves another village. Yes, we are going to fight the Wither in a village, which I'm sure the villagers are going to be absolutely thrilled about. We had a mostly successful mining trip, despite the hot bath. We don't need to talk about that. But I think I have everything together that I'm going to need for phase 1 of our Wither fight preparation. Phase 1, of course, is setting up the distraction traps? Distractions? Yeah, setting up distractions. We'll go with that. And in regards to a location, when we were searching for a village for the raids that we did last episode, we did actually come across another village, which I think is going to be perfect for our plans here. And it's just over this way somewhere. Hopefully not too far. And there it is. That is the village we are after. It's actually a little bit further than I thought. It's about 3,000 blocks away, but this should be perfect for our needs. So what we know about Withers is that they attack any kind of living, moving entity. And I believe that's something we can probably take advantage of. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a few things that we can turn on, and I mean, to be honest, I fully expect some of them to get destroyed by the Wither before we get a chance to use them, but that's why we're going to be doing multiples of most things. But the plan is to create a variety of distractions that will keep the Wither busy, and the very first one of these is going to be quite straightforward. I just need a few little bits of redstone here and a few blocks from in here, and that should probably just about do it. So what I'm going to do is create a few chicken launchers, basically, which are going to launch eggs all over the place, and hopefully that will spawn some chickens and keep the Wither busy. But I've also got a bit of obsidian because I want to try and protect this thing as much as possible. I'm just deciding where to put it. And in fact, I think I might set up a couple of them. So the first one I'm going to set up just over here, and they're going to be fairly straightforward. We're going to shoot eggs into 2 different directions, and we're just going to put some barrels on top of those. And then we're going to put a switch in the back. So we're going to put an observer pointing down at the back there. We're going to put another one pointing up there, and then we'll grab ourselves a sticky piston to put there. And what I want to do is make sure that this is fairly well protected. So if we put a lever here and some redstone dust on the back, let's just quickly put some slime balls in here for now just to see if it's going to work. It should do. Yep, there we go. So that's going to launch eggs out, and hopefully we'll get some chickens from those. And they go quite quick as well, which is pretty good. But as I say, we do want to protect this a little bit, so let's wrap some obsidian around the thing. But at least that's one of them complete. I'm going to need to go get myself some more obsidian, but I'm going to stick another one over on that side as well, I think. We do also need to fill it with eggs, of course, but we'll go get some more obsidian first, which I guess means I'm going to have to fly home, and I'm probably just going to go to the end and destroy some end pillage. Although in saying that, there's literally a lava lake right here. This will do for now. Well, we managed to get over a stack of obsidian from that little pool. It was actually a couple of layers deep, so that's handy, and hopefully that means we won't have to go to the end just yet. But before we build another one of these chicken shooter mechanic-y machine type things, there's something else I want to do first, because it's going to take a bit longer to do, and we're probably going to have to actually AFK here for a bit to get it working effectively. The first thing I need to do is dig down. I'm just deciding where. And I'll tell you what, I think this well is going to be perfect. So let's quickly dig out these bits. And let's quickly remove the water. And we're going to dig a nice hole down about 30 blocks or so. That should just about do it. And the reason I've chosen this village is because it has this bit over here. So if we line ourselves up with the well, which is going to be... Oh, let's go about here, shall we? This should work perfectly. And we're just going to dig in the side here as well. There we go, that's got us connected up with the hole in the well, and now I just need to make a whole bunch of space here. We've actually got a bit deeper in the well than we needed to, but I'm going to dig out a reasonably sized area in here. That hole should be plenty big enough. I'm going to put in a line of fences across here, a bunch of ice across the back here, then we'll put trapdoors in all these water sources. And open those all up, and that should block the water. Perfect. Put some blocks on top of those. And some redstone across the top of those. In fact, we're likely to need a repeater there. Now, in theory, we can control when the water arrives and when it doesn't. Perfect. We're going to get a bit of ice at the back here as well. And then on this side, we'll just put in a bubble vator. We'll have it so that we can open these two with redstone as well. Okay, that should do the trick. That'll open and close the gates at the bottom. Now I just need to get lots of water into the bubble vator over here. So... ice time. Then if we break all that, we should get water sources. And when we break these last ones, that should give us a bubble vator. Perfect. And if we just do that, that should make it a bit easier for things to get out. So, you may be wondering what I'm going to be putting down there, but you've likely figured it out by now. The plan now is to bribe a whole bunch of animals into here. Preferably cows and sheep, of course, because, well, I've got lots and lots of hay bales, and that's going to help me feed them and breed them. And what we're going to do at some point during the fight, we're going to drop down this tunnel here, we're going to flick a lever, and they're all going to shoot up, and they're going to flood the battlefield, which will hopefully give the Wither lots of things to be distracted by. But in order for that to work, we do need to breed up lots and lots of animals. What have we got? Chickens. We don't need any more chickens. Right, there's some cows over there. Let's get those. Oh, wow, look, there's loads of sheep over there as well. Let's grab all them. Yes, come with me, my sheep army. This is why I built the tunnel, by the way. Figured it might make this bit a bit easier. That's it. In you come, my pretties. Come in. So we'll come down here every little while and we'll feed these dudes. But in the meantime, we've got some other projects we need to be working on. And in fact, I can get rid of these bits here as well now, can't I? The animal army downstairs is coming along nicely, and I've also set up 2 more of these chicken things. I will block up this hole once I've loaded up the barrels on each one, but there's one here, there's one there, and the first one we built is over there, and hopefully that's going to create lots of entities for the Wither to target, especially combined with the rest of our farmyard army. But that's not all we're going to do. One last thing I want to have is just a bunch of places where I can spawn in golems. I fully expect a whole bunch of these to get destroyed, or at least sort of broken, before I get a chance to use them, but that just means I'm going to place a lot more around, and with these I'm quite simply just going to run around behind them and hit the buttons to create golems as and when I feel they're necessary. We now have 12 golems set up around the village, and I've put buttons on every side that's accessible just to make sure that we can definitely hit a button when we're running past, and I think it's time to go check on our farm animals. Yes, look at that. Now that is an army. This is going to be absolutely perfect. So what I want to do, how did you get here? Well, best not to ask questions sometimes. So what I want to do now is make sure that they're all down there and get washed into the tunnel, and to make sure that they're ready for when things actually kick off. So I guess first thing I need to do is to remove all of these. Look at that, they're starting to flow down already. Excellent. And if we push this lever, this should wash them all into the chamber. Oh, look at that. That is absolutely amazing. Hopefully there's not too many that they start dying. It's looking pretty good so far. Let's get the rest in there. And that's just about the last of them. Those last couple are struggling to find space, but I think this should work absolutely perfectly. So the farmyard army is prepped and ready. We just need to fill up these dispensers with eggs, which means we do need to fly home to go get some. But other than that, we're pretty much ready, at least on the village defense distraction side. We don't stand a chance of actually defending this village after all. Everything's going to die. But something else I want to do to prepare for this fight is to make a few potions, because ideally I want to make some arrows of what's the bad thing? Arrows of healing. I think they're the ones that actually hurt the Wither, and I also want to make myself some potions of strength. And I can't actually remember what I need to make those, so I'm going to have to look that up. So when it comes to eggs for our chicken cannons, I've actually had a bunch of chickens in here that have been laying eggs for quite a while, and as you can see, there are absolutely loads of them, so we're just going to grab a whole bunch of these. I'm sure 12 boxes of eggs is going to be more than enough, and I should probably actually deal with those chickens as well, because, well, this is likely to be causing quite a bit of lag. Oh, I've made a terrible mistake. Problem solved. So I did a Google and I found this. And this basically tells me that I need to get some glistering melon in order to make my arrows of healing. And we're also going to need some blaze powder for the potions of strength, which won't be a problem. But I don't actually know if we've got any melony type things. So maybe we found some from abandoned portals or something. Okay, yeah, look, we've got 14. We've got absolutely loads of them. And we've got plenty of blaze rods. So we should have everything we need. Although, we then have to choose if we want to make them stronger or if we want to make them last longer. And I think in both cases, we're actually going to make them stronger. So that means we're going to need glowstone to add to it as well. And it looks like we've got another 12 glistering melons in here. So we've definitely got enough of those. And we've got our nether wart, which we're going to need. And what else? I need to actually break this down into blaze powder. And of course, we're going to need some glass bottles. So let's get this process started. First thing we need is a bunch of water bottles. And we need to make some awkward potions. So first up, let's make some potions of strength. So they'll give us +3 attack damage, but if we add a glowstone dust, that should make them strength 2 potions, I believe. They're only going to last half as long, but they should do a lot more damage. Look at that, +6 damage. We've actually doubled the strength of those. Excellent. I'm going to make a few more of those. They might come in handy. So that's 9 strength 2 potions. I'm sure that's going to be more than enough, but now we need to make some healing ones. So, what did I do? There we go. So once again, we need an awkward potion to begin, and then we'll use a glistering melon this time. And while that brews, I do actually need to make ourselves a cauldron as well, I believe. We'll just put that in there. Perfect. So that's the potion of healing. And once again, if we use glowstone, that should turn it into a potion of healing too. There we go. Perfect. So I believe the way this works is we can do this. Can we put the potions in there? Do we need to put water in it first? No, we can't do it. Okay, well, that's how you do it on Bedrock. Do I just combine them in my crafting table? Apparently we don't. I'll be back in a minute. So it looks like I need to make lingering potions for a start. So, do I even have the things for that? So I have 1 dragon's breath, and I think that's actually what I need to make a lingering potion. I don't really know how to do this. So the first thing I need to do is to turn these into splash potions with a bit of gunpowder. Perfect. And then I can turn them into lingering potions by doing this. We've only got 1 dragon's breath though. So yeah, we're only going to get about 24 arrows out of this. But it's better than none. There we go. So we now have our lingering potions of healing. And if I do that and that... And there we go, we now have 24 arrows of healing, and they're just going to do a little bit more damage to the wither than if they were just normal arrows, which we're probably going to need, to be fair. But I think it also makes sense just to make a few more splash potions of healing for me. I'm likely to need them. And while they brew up, let's also grab some golden apples. We're definitely going to want those. So I think that's pretty much everything we're going to need, apart from soul sand, but we've actually already got that over at the location. So with that, I think we might actually have everything we need to go fight the wither. Although actually, while I think of it, let's take a bunch of these as well. Can never have too many totems when fighting a wither. Well, I think that's everything we need. Let's go back to the location and do our final checks. So back over here at our wither fight village, I need to get these barrels filled up. So we're going to be placing eggs for quite a while. And with that, all of the egg machines are now filled. I had a few leftover eggs, so I've thrown a few around. And wow, actually, quite a lot of them are turned into chickens. This is good. Lots of distractions for the wither. I think we're just about ready. I've got my inventory sorted. But there is actually one more thing I've completely forgotten to do. And that is to get myself a sword that is suitable for taking down a wither. And, well, our current looty boy is not the one. So we must once again fly home and forge ourselves a sword worthy of this battle. We don't need to talk about how long that took, but I have eventually managed to get myself a decent sword. So this is Smitey Boy, and, well, it's got Smite 5 and Unbreaking. That's the important thing. But, of course, we also want to make sure we are putting netherite on that. So there we go. Well, I don't think I can procrastinate any further. We basically have everything we could possibly need. And, well, I guess we should go fight the wither, really, shouldn't we? Oh, look, it's nighttime. We're gonna have to go to bed. That's a shame. Right, no more delaying tactics. Let's go get this done. And don't panic, I haven't forgotten about milk as well. We are gonna get some of that, but we've already got iron over at the village. So we're just gonna make some buckets there and milk some of our friendly cows we have trapped in a basement. Oh, my days, it's loud down here. Let's just get the milk and go. Jeez. Well, sadly, I think procrastination time is actually going to carry on for a second. I need to let the villagers out of their houses. Aha. And it is quite late in the day as well, to be fair, so I'm going to wait and we're going to do this fight at dawn. But at dawn, we shall begin. Let's just get everything set up, shall we? This feels like a good place to spawn him in. And let's keep hold of this one till dawn. Just going to stare at the sun, contemplate my life choices. I'm literally shaking, but look, we did it. We did it. That was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. The animals did nothing apart from drop my frame rate. That was a terrible plan. But we got our nether star. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I am shaking all over right now. That was very nerve-wracking. Woo! But the important thing is we did it, and there's probably a fair few wither roses around we can collect as well. That got sketchy. That got so sketchy. Over the last couple of episodes, it's safe to say we've been quite destructive. We built ourselves a giant arrow cannon for a raid, we unleashed a wither, we blew up an entire mountain, and of course we got ourselves a beacon. And today you'll be pleased to know we're finally going to get back to some building. But first, there's always time for more destruction, right? Well, that's made a right mess. We've got a bit of clearing up to do, and I know, I said I was going to transform this village, but I've had a better idea, and, well, I mean, apart from the just mass destruction. But I do have an idea of what I want to build over here now, and this village had to go. I've kept that house down there, of course, because that's currently got our villagers in, but we will be moving those and destroying that house too. First, however, I've got a lot of clearing up to do. I mean, it was fun, but I don't know if that's just created more work for myself. But I do want to connect this river up. We're going to sort out the landscape around these edges as well. But once this area is looking nicer, we're going to build ourselves a sheep farm and finally give Pinky a home. Absolutely forever. I decided to actually get rid of all the stuff under the water as well because that was looking awful, but we now have a nice area up here for building. And you may notice I've marked out a little bit here as well. And although every time I go into this view it looks like I'm not wearing armor, I assure you I am. I've just got it on under my clothes. So don't panic. But what I've decided to do over here is I'm actually going to put the sheep farm underground, and then I can actually do something a bit more interesting with the top side of the barn, and it means it's not going to be absolutely massive. So the first thing I need to do is dig a hole, and that means I need to set my beacon up again. I've literally just taken that down. There we go, we've got our haste 2, now to do a buttload of digging. The hole has been successfully dug, and it is so much easier to dig with a beacon. I've missed having a beacon. I've also managed to capture a few sheep so we can start breeding them up, because we are of course going to need 16 for the farm, but for now we actually need to get on building the farm itself, and I've collected some bits and bobs that we should need, and hopefully this shouldn't take too long. So because we're building the farm beneath the barn, what we're going to need is to feed everything into a water tube, and that way we should be able to sort it out upstairs. So let's just chuck down a bunch of hoppers and figure it out from there, I think. In fact, I think what I might do is just get this bit in first, just so we know exactly where things need to go. We won't bother filling it up with water, but it's nice to have it visualized. So if that's going to go there, we can probably start putting the sheep about there, I think. So let me just plan this out a little bit. If we're going to have a hopper minecart on that block there, then that means the sheep are going to be standing on that bit there, so that should be fine. And then on this side, in theory, we should just be able to do it like this. And I am putting grass down the bottom here as well, because it will help to grow the grass on top quicker, or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. But this should work out well. We can have a sheep on each side. They can share this wall, and it just makes it a little bit more compact, and it means we've got some area around it to mess about with as well. The sheep will also be able to share this wall that's next to them, so in theory, we should just be able to get away with this. And we're going to need 8 on each side, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at that, perfect amount of hoppers. And same on this side. Then we'll get all the grass in down here. Excellent stuff. And for now, I'm actually going to remove this top bit, just because it's going to make it a bit easier to sort out down here if we can actually get underneath. So the next thing we want to do is border all this in glass so that the minecarts don't move about once we get them in. And by using glass as well, we're also not going to be blocking the grass growth, because we do, of course, want that to go through to the platforms above. Then we need to put in a bunch of rails, and same on this side. And then we just need a hopper minecart on every single one of these. Perfect. And now we need lots and lots of grass. We need to make sure that we're covering up everything apart from this back spot here on each area. As simple as that. Marvelous. And now we need a whole bunch of observers and dispensers. We've already got some of them. Excellent. So the observers are going to look into this block, and that's just going to detect when the sheep eat. And same on this side, with a solid block on the back of each one of them. And on the top here, we'll just put a dispenser on top of every single observer and a dot of redstone on the back of every single one of these. And that is the mechanism. It's so simple. I absolutely love it. But then if you've ever played Minecraft, you probably know how to do this anyway. So we're going to want to make sure that we've got plenty of shears in each one of these dispensers. So what we're going to do is put a hopper on the side of each one, with a barrel on top of each one of those. And then we just need a whole bunch of glass so we can contain the sheep. So the last thing we need, because of course we do want the grass to grow, and for that I do believe that light actually helps, and we don't want the sheep to be in the dark down here, do we? So I need to get some kind of block lights to put there, and to be honest, I don't think I've got many of any of them, so let's see what we can rustle up. Well, I guess we can do it with glowstone. We've got enough of those. That'll do. So let's get these in here. And there we go. That is the sheep farm complete. We do, of course, need to put lots and lots of shears in it, but I also need to make sure I've got plenty of sheep, which currently I don't, because I've completely forgot to breed any of them while we were doing that. You've got your work cut out for you, come on. Although I've also just realised I said this was complete, and it's not. I haven't actually put in the redstone at the back here to dispense everything that goes in. So if we do that, and this. Perfect. As you can see, it's already spitting out the rubbish that it's picked up so far. Although we do need some soul sand in that as well, and we'll grab some ice for later, so when we fill the tube, it just makes it a bit easier for us. Well, I've either misplaced it or I just have no soul sand. I'm sure I had some soul sand. Oh, no, is that it? No, that's soul soil as well. Wait a minute, maybe the soul sand's actually already in my redstone box. I feel like that's something I would have done. I need to eat. Yep, that's exactly where it was. Knew it. So let's get that in there, block this up, and now I think we're actually good to go. So not only do we need to breed the sheep, we also need to make sure we're giving them the appropriate colours. We want one of every colour of sheep, and that means we're going to need a whole bunch of dyes. And I don't think I've got all of them. I might do, but I'm not sure. Let's go see what we can rustle up at home. I appear to have thrown my rockets away. First port of call is going to be our flower box. Okay, not looking too bad. Let's see what we've got to hand. So it looks like I've managed to get everything apart from cyan and green. And for both of those, we just need some cactus. There we go. Let's cook this up. And there we go. So we've actually managed to get all 16 dyes without even leaving our basement. So at least that saved us a bunch of flying around. However, we still need more sheep. Let's breed them up again. Oh, they're not ready for it. Maybe not. So for now, I'm just going to put all these dyes in here, ready for later. And what we need to do is grab ourselves a buttload of iron, because we need to make lots and lots of shears, and I want to completely fill up the farm for now, so that hopefully we won't have to restock it anytime soon, and to be honest, maybe never again. Who knows? So I'm going to be making shears for a while, so I'll see you back here once we're done. And hopefully the sheep will be ready by that point as well. But that was tedious, but all of the shears are in, and it has occurred to me at the start here, we're not actually going to have a proper collection system set up once I get the sheep in. So I think I'm just going to chuck a barrel down here, and for now we'll just collect all the wool in there. But at the moment we still don't have enough sheep. We have 13 in here, we need 3 more, and we need the little baby ones to grow up. So for now I guess we just play the waiting game. Actually no, let's make the inside of this look a little bit nicer. There we go. Doesn't need to be anything more fancy than that. We're probably never going to be back down here again anyway, but in case we do need more shears, we'll just stick a barrel down there as well. And once we get the roof on, obviously, it's going to look a bit better. And our sheep are almost ready. We just got a couple more we need to grow up, and then we can start loading them in over here. In fact, we could probably do that anyway, even though they're not grown up, right? So to make my life a bit easier over here, let's just build a temporary bridge. And we'll just stick a trapdoor on top of each of these as well, so we can close them up once they've got a sheep inside. And there we go. So first one, let's see what we can do. This is going to be so tedious, I can feel it already. That wasn't tedious at all, but we have all the sheep in, and what I have actually done is removed all the redstone off the back of these blocks because I realised I need to dye them, and if they don't have wool on them, you can't actually dye them. So let's make some space and grab our dyes. Well, this is easy enough. Let's just give them all a unique colour. There we go. All the sheep have a unique colour. I just need to add the redstone on the back here, and that will actually start the farm up. And we'll get rid of these temporary blocks. We don't need them anymore. Not too shabby. So now it is time to actually build the barn up top, and of course sort out the storage, because that is going to be a big part of what we do up here. We're going to have all the wool stored at the back, and at the front here we're probably going to actually have some space for some animals. We'll have some fields. It's going to be absolutely marvellous. But first I'm going to pack all this away and go make myself a cup of tea. Tea has been acquired. Let's plan out this barn, shall we? I think that's just about going to do it. As we get closer, you can of course see the chests rendering in, and this is where we're going to sort out the 8 different types of wool on this side and the other 8 on this side. And we should have enough space behind to fit in the auto sorter. I guess the next step is to actually build a barn around this. Oh no, it's not. It's not. That's not the next step at all. I need to actually put in the redstone, don't I? Sorting system is now sorted. We have everything in order and things will be coming through. Look at that, we've already got the wool coming through to the different boxes. We just need to decorate this place. I have kind of started framing some things out and trying to work out how the rest of this building is going to look, but to be honest, I don't really know. We're just going to grab some blocks and start winging it, and hopefully it'll be looking all fancy nice when I bring you back. So let's grab some blocks and turn that music back up. What have I done to the top? That's horrible. Let's try that again. The roof's certainly looking better now. The barn has turned out a lot bigger than I expected, but that has given us more space in the top for farms, and as you can tell, I've still got a lot of detailing work to do. I've started working out roughly where I might put a few bits, but nah, I'm not sold yet. And on the inside here, we've got 3 sections here where we can put animals, 4 in fact, and we've also got 1 here, and we've got a section here. I think I'm going to put some stairs in here to get to the upper levels, and as I say, we do have plenty of space for more farms up there. I might even put some more sheep in, you know. But for now, we need to focus on the outside, because although we've got the shape of the barn, it still looks absolutely terrible. So we need to do some texturing on the walls here, we need to do some texturing on the roof, and of course we need to get all the details in, such as windows and things like that. And then there's landscaping, there's the paths that connect it all up. Jeez, we've got loads to do. But nevertheless, a couple of hours later, we're making some good progress. I think I've pretty much got the front here sorted out how I want it to look. I still need to actually do the landscape around here. I think we should probably put a big field there for the animals, shouldn't we? But I've spent a reasonable amount of time on the interior as well. I still want to swap out a lot of this floor, and especially the animal pens, but I have managed to get some detail, some decoration in here. And there's also some stairs that take you up onto this sort of mid-level area. This is just the roof above the barns, and from here you can actually get across on top of the other side as well. But most importantly, look up here. We have got a ridiculous amount of space, and I don't really know what to do with it. So if you've got any ideas, do let me know in the comments. But, well, we need to put some kind of farm here, right? Because if we do put some farms up there, we actually can convert some of these bits here to storage as well, at least on this side. This side is definitely going to be for animals, however. And the good news is the whole time we've been building, as you can see, we've been getting lots and lots of dark oak pressure plates, but we've been getting lots and lots of wool, which is marvellous. And we've also got an overflow chest here for the stuff that falls in. So enough waffle, it's got dark, there's nasty things around, and I've still got a whole lot of work to do, so I'll see you shortly. That was a cool effect. later, and dare I say it, I think we're just about done. Of course, we do still need the wheat to grow up here, but I am absolutely loving this. This is actually working really well. We've still got a massive empty space at the top there, but like I said, if you know what farms we should put there, do let me know in the comments. But I've sorted out all the animal pens. We don't actually have anything in this one just yet, and we appear to be missing a fence as well, so we should probably fix that. But I went and got some horses. We even got a donkey, and we have our horse here, which has a saddle on. That's the one I've been riding while trying to get the others. We've got the signs up in here as well, but all in all, inside here is looking pretty good. On the outside here, I've connected up a path around the side. I've extended the wheat field a little bit just to bring it up to the edge of this barn, because I think that looks a lot better. And most importantly, we have a field out the front here for all our animals. And, well, I have got a fence kind of all the way round, but I haven't necessarily made it tall enough to stop them from jumping over. But I'm sneaky, and what I have done is I've actually lined the edge of the entire field with honey blocks, so they can't actually jump, they can't escape, and at the same time it gives me a little bit more freedom with the walls. Quite pleased with that. Big brain beardy. Doesn't happen often, but sometimes, just sometimes it does. The other thing I did was force grew a few giant oak trees. Just by placing a sapling with a few blocks stacked up next to it means that you don't get the small oak trees and you get the bigger ones. And, well, once again, I wasn't going to stand here and do custom trees. It's just not really my thing. But getting these giant oaks and then just adding a few blocks to the bottom really does make a difference to just using the normal oak trees. These ones here, they're not so great. Lastly, I have actually decided to keep the house down here with our villagers in, just as a remnant of the village that once stood here, but I'm not doing anything with them really. I'm just kind of keeping them for the sake of keeping them really, and there appears to be some house missing there as well, so I guess we should fix that too. But I just basically planted loads of trees to hide it. In fact, here you go, look, this is how I was making the giant trees. Plant a sapling there with a few blocks next to it, and then you're more likely to get big trees. But we don't need them there now. So the good news is, besides adding a couple of farms and maybe an interior here and there, I think we're actually done in this area. I think our starter base, island, village type area is actually done. As I say, we do have a few spaces for small farms that we can put in as and when we need them, but I'm absolutely in love with this area. We've been here for a good few months, basically since the very first episode. In fact, this building here is our starter house, and to see how this place has developed has just been absolutely amazing. But the good news is we can now make a start on a new area, and by now I mean probably in a couple of episodes, because there are a couple of things I want to do that don't really warrant having a whole area to themselves. But we'll get to that in the next episode. We'll discuss what our next themed area is going to be, because it's not all going to be medieval. Oh, no. We're going to mix things up a bit. I do have a plan. In fact, there is actually one last thing I still need to do with the barn. Come on, Pinky. It's about time you got a home. Here we go, Pinky. We've got the perfect place for you just in here. And with that, I think we've pretty much gone full circle. We found you in episode 1, and just as we finish this area, we finally build you a home. Sorry for the delay, Pinky. What are you doing? You don't need a oh, jeez. I think Pinky got used to being in the ocean. On day 1 in this hardcore world, we chose this island as our new home. Just over 1400 days later, and we're ready to move to a new area and start a brand new project. But before we can do that, however, there is actually something we're going to need for this next project that doesn't actually involve the project itself, and that is sea lanterns, which of course means we need to go make ourselves a guardian farm. Conveniently for us, however, there are a whole bunch of ocean monuments just over this area here somewhere. Look, there's actually one right there, and that's our island, so, you know, we don't have to travel too far to actually make this farm. What we do need to do, however, is get a whole bunch of resources. We're going to need a bunch of stuff and things to make this farm work, and of course, to make it look nice too, which is going to be quite a challenge because, well, it's an ocean monument. I don't think I'm going to drain it. We're actually going to do a farm by ENX04, so the farm itself is very easy to make and effective for what we want, but this is our world, and in our world, we like to hide things, and that has complicated things quite a lot. For now, though, let's just load up on some shulker boxes, and let's go get some resources. That's enough of that music. And I think I've got everything I'm going to need. We've got lots of wood, we've got lots of other bits and bobs and scaffolding, blah. But we've also got this box of magic, which has got all of our potions we're going to need to clear the ocean monument, as well as a few other bits and bobs that we're going to need for this project. And I think this is everything I'm going to need, but you know how it is. I'm bound to have forgotten something. So what we need to do is pick what monument we're going to use. And I don't think I'm going to actually use the one that's very close to the base. I think there's another one just past it, and we're going to see how that one looks. So I think I'm going to to use this monument over here. It's got a bit of land nearby, which I can use as a building area, or at least somewhere to store my materials, but that should work quite nicely. I do, however, need to prep and empty that thing before we can do anything else. So this is where the potions are going to come in handy. Where are they? Here they are. So we're going to need some invisibility, we're going to need some water breathing, and we're also going to need the TNT and the slime. We should probably put a bed down as well. We don't want to be doing this in the night. And to be honest, that should just about do it for us to be able to clear this monument. Although one last thing I need to do is actually get naked. And in fact, getting a few redstone blocks might be handy as well. Otherwise, we're not going to be blowing up this TNT at all. So let's drink our potions and, well, wish me luck. Here we go. Well, it appears to be working. They're not attacking me. Let's just blast our way in and deal with the big boys, shall we? Well, that was easy enough. All of the big Elder Guardians are dead, and now that means we can actually build in peace. So let's make a start on this farm. It actually comes in two parts. There's a bit we need to do here on the corner of the monument, and then there's something we need to do up in the sky. So first things first, let's locate the corner of the monument, which is going to be here, and we need to put a lily pad directly above us. And then we put 3 lily pads this way and 3 lily pads this way. Then what we need to do is start making some platforms like this, and then more this way with a bit of support underneath. So let's do, nope, not that. Let's do that. And then we need another square, and then we need a portal on this side that stretches the width of it. That is not where I wanted that obsidian. And another portal on this side. My invisibility ran out. Right, I really must keep an eye on that. These things are mean. It's almost like they don't want to be farmed. And lastly, we'll just put some barriers in to contain the Guardians. And I've just realised I put this portal in the wrong place. It needs to go 1 block further over. And there we go. That is the catchment chamber for the Guardians. Nice and simple. We do still need to put some soul sand down the bottom there, but we won't do that just yet. That's only going to cause us problems if we do that now. So now we need to construct the killing area. And the way to do that is to go 1 chunk this way and put down a lily pad. We'll put that right in the corner of the chunk there. And then we'll do the same 1 chunk further along, and then we need to put another lily pad there. And this, well, up there is where we're going to be building our kill chamber. And hopefully we won't have to go over there for a while. So let's go up 97 blocks, and that should put us at the right Y level. Y160, that is exactly where we want to be. Perfect. So this is where I'm now going to start doing things a little bit differently to the tutorial, because I don't want my kill chamber to work like ENX04's one did. I want it to be a little bit more compact, automated. Essentially, if I'm going to hide it, it can't be as big as that one. So this is the level where I want to be AFK when the farm is working, ideally on this spot here, which means this needs to be the deck of our ship. Yes, I'm going to be building a ship up here. But let's not concern ourselves too much with that right now. For now, what I need to do is work out exactly where I need to put this chamber to make the ship fit, and have that as the AFK spot. This could get complicated. So I need to go up 22 blocks. This is going to be my kill chamber. So I need to work out the glass, I guess. That should be about high enough. And then we need a portal in here. And then we'll finish off the glass. Just like that. Okay, so now comes the scary bit. So for the scary bit, we need a few different things. And the first one of those is the coordinates of this lily pad. Coordinates and a little bit of damage acquired. I really do hate those Guardians. I can't wait to kill them all in my chamber of death. So I think I've got everything I need. We're going to need ladders, ender pearls, we're going to need obsidian, flint and steel, scaffolding, and we're going to need some spruce logs. And I think we're going to need some other redstone stuff as well, if I remember correctly. So let's just grab that box too. But I think that's everything we need for this. So wish me luck. This could be the end of the world. Mainly because I'm scared and incapable. But let's see what happens, shall we? Well, we seem to be reasonably safe. This is good, but we need to actually completely remove this portal first off, because this is going to get in the way. And what I need to do is go up. I need to try and get onto the nether roof. And I've never done this before. I've always sort of got other people to make the holes and things like that. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. And also hoping I don't dig into lava. Okay, we have found bedrock. So what we're looking for is a piece of bedrock that is at Y127? I think, is what it said. I think this bit up here is going to be Y127. Let's have a look. Yep, that is Y127. So that is going to be a little bit safer than the 126 blocks. So, okay, this is the bit that makes me very nervous. We need to put ladders there. And we need to get ender pearls. And then we need to hope for the best. So if we go up here... Okay, I'm just going to double check how to do this. Okay, so what I need to do is hold jump and forward and fire an ender pearl here. Oh, we did it. We did it. Okay, panic over. We are on the nether roof. Oof. My palms are sweaty. So we need to divide those coordinates by 8, which gives us minus 48 by minus 363. And that is that spot right there. So here I need to go up 62 blocks. So we're at Y190, perfect. And then we need another portal. We love our portals today. And then we need to build a 4x4 platform on each side. And then wall that in. And then we need to fill this with scaffolding, because why not? And then we need a fence gate there and another one there. And the same on this side. Put a roof on. And then we'll build a hopper clock on top of that. And then we'll put 38 items in there. Perfect. So now we just need to make sure that this is actually doing its thing. So this should open and close the gates every 15 seconds. Well, that seems to work. So this should hopefully link us back through into our kill chamber, which thankfully isn't going to kill me just yet. Look at that. We are golden. Marvelous. Right, so let's get rid of these bits. Put that beam in across there. So, in theory, if we were to turn on those portals down the bottom there now, this will actually start feeding through Guardians. We don't really want to be doing that just yet, though. At least not in mass amounts, but we should probably test it. It'd be a shame to hide it, make it look nice, only to find out it's not working. So I've made myself invisible again, and what we need to do is actually put all the soul sand on the roof of the fortress down here. Oh my days, look how many there are. Oh, this is terrifying. Right, so I just need to put soul sand on every single bit of this until we get underneath the other portal, basically. Oh, I haven't taken my water breathing. We don't want to be drowning now, do we? Let's quickly grab that. Let's try that again, shall we? Preferably without drowning this time. So we have a whole floor of bubbles in here, and this will push all the guardians up to here. Although what I want to do is, as I say, test it and actually make sure the farm is going to work. And for that, we need to turn it on. So that should be bringing in some guardians. If we just go down to the AFK spot, which is where this torch is, we should start getting loads of guardians down here. Look at that. And then they should start coming through up here and burning. Look at that. And that's going to be our farm. That we're going to put in a whole collection system up there. But for now, I think I want to make sure that this thing is actually turned off, because that's just going to cause me a whole lot of issues. And do I have... Right, I've got 1 minute left of invisibility. I can do this. There we go. But now we know it works, we can actually focus on the build up here and what's going to make it look nice. But it's such a simple farm. I absolutely love it. And that's going to give us everything we need for the sea lanterns. But as I say, I do need to work out exactly how I'm going to hide it. And for this, I think I'm going to... I'm still invisible. Well, I'm not going to talk to you like this again. I'm just going to wait here for the invisibility to... Oh, it's about to wear off. Look, hey! Look, I'm back. Marvellous. So, what was I saying? Yes, boat. So, what I'm going to do to hide this, we're going to build ourselves an airship. And I don't usually reuse builds or anything like that, but I did actually build an airship on Season 3 of Truly Bedrock, and I really quite liked it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that sort of basic design, that basic shell, and, well, probably the same colour palette, but we're going to make something up here which is going to be very reminiscent of that particular build. But my thinking is I'll be able to hide the sorting system and collection system and so on in the balloons, and then I'll have chests down the bottom in the boat itself that will actually contain all of the drops. But yeah, this certainly isn't going to be easy, so I'm going to take myself a little break. I'm going to have a cup of tea and some lunch and just contemplate my life choices once again, because this is not going to be an easy build. But hopefully it will look fantastic once it's done. I've tidied up the mess we had around here, I've got myself a fresh brew, and I've marked where I need to start building the boat. This is actually going to be the sort of very bottom block of it, and this should, hopefully, if I've guesstimated correctly, work out quite nicely for us. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is mark out the frame, try and get the rough shape of the boat in. I'll see you back here when we've got a little bit more to look at. So that's the skeleton of the boat done. I think I want to get some walls in before we go any further so I can actually see the shape of it a little bit better. We're making some good progress on the boat here. We've got the main shape in, we've got the colour palette down. However, we're missing a few key components, and that is the bits that are keeping it aloft. So I think the next thing we're going to do is the big propeller on the back here, and then we need to work on the balloons. Everything's fine, don't panic. We just had a bit of an incident there where I may or may not have let a block drop through an open portal and load the nether. But in better news, the basic shape of the boat is now here. We've just got a lot of work to do. We've got to get all the rigging in. We need to actually attach the balloons. We need to sort out the shape on those a little bit in some places. So I'm going to play around with a few ideas for details, and I'll bring you back in once this is all looking shiny and nice. Well, I wouldn't say it's shiny, but it's definitely looking a lot nicer. We are almost there with the texturing. I've just got to get some bits for the blades at the back here, and I wonder what we can do. I mean, we've got grey wool there, so I think if we were to get some grey concrete, that would probably do the job. And another thing I need is some lights. I need some probably glowstone lights or some shroom lamps or something like that we can put on the end of some of these ropes, and I need a few chains and other bits like that. And just like that, we've got some dangling bits which are looking pretty good, and we've sorted out the texturing on this bit here. So now we need to actually start figuring out this storage system. And as I say, I think the first thing I'm going to do is down here, actually get the chests in, and hopefully it should come together quite easily. Famous last words there. A short while later, and I think I've figured out the storage. So what we're going to do is we're going to store the prismarine shards on this side, and the other bits we want to keep on this side. I can't even remember what they're called now, but you know what I mean, those weird little ball things. And everything else, which is basically fish, we're just going to set fire to before it even makes it down here. So down here, it's literally just a hopper wall behind these. There's no sorting going on down here. We're actually going to sort them upstairs, and if we go up here, we have a hopper here where stuff's going to drop down. We will put a slab over that, and we have another one here. So we're just going to have to make sure we line up the drops so that they fall down exactly where they're needed. I've then just sort of decorated the rest of the area, really. I've got a bed here as well, which, to be honest, I need to use. But this area should work absolutely fine. However, now we need to go up and actually sort out the difficult bits. So we need to put in a sorting system. Where's my redstone box? Is it still down there? I see a shadow. It looks like it might be. But this really is starting to look quite cool now. I think we might get a few more hanging lights on the side, maybe a couple of ropes, and then we can get rid of this weird little halo effect we've got going around it. That's purely been my scaffolding. I think I've got what I need, and I know it looks dark up here, but don't worry, it is spawn proof, it is spawn protected. There's just no lights on the top there. So where do we begin? I guess we should probably start directly under this, right? But this is just going to be another boring storage system build, so I'll just bring you back in once it's done, and I'll show you what we've figured out. So I think we're just about ready. So everything gets collected when the guardians die here, goes into these droppers, they then spit it into the water, it goes around here, and we have two sets of 3 sorters. So these are taking the shards, these are taking the other little weird jelly bean things, and the rest of it should end up on this block here, which eventually I will set fire to, but I just kind of want to make sure that everything's being picked up first. What then happens is the shards come down here, they go through this tunnel, and this should align things so that it falls directly on the block that has the hopper under it, and the same on this side for the little jelly beans. And hopefully, when we go and light those portals down the bottom, this is all going to work. But I guess there's only one way to find out. This is glorious. Okay, so there is a slight problem here in the way that I've done these hoppers, and all it means is I need to lower this by a block. So not a big issue, but let's quickly get this sorted while we're here. So we're not getting any of the jelly beans coming down, and I'm wondering if maybe, just maybe, the system's getting backed up already. It's actually the hoppers that can't keep up. Right, so I think I've fixed it. What I've done is we've now got 4 dispensers there. We've got 8 fires killing them all, and we've got multiple hoppers feeding into each dispenser. And I've just done this with observers because it's just much easier. And it means they're going to fire a bit faster. We've also got 3 dispensers down here now, not 1, so that we're not feeding all of this into the same hopper. And in theory, this should work a lot better. So let's go down, run this for a bit, and see if we get our mob drop rain, which is all we're really hoping for here. Come on, my pretties, that's it. Go into the portals. Well, the rain is definitely happening on both sides. And now we just have one further problem. And that is that these hoppers down here now can't keep up, which was kind of obviously going to happen, really, let's be honest. So there's an easy solution for that, and that is to get rid of the hoppers altogether and use water instead. That should be able to keep up now. So now that everything's working lovely and we've built this awesome ship, I was going to end the video here, but something's bothering me. This horrible, horrible looking platform down here. But I think I've got an idea of how we can hide that. Job done. Today, we say goodbye. Not to the hardcore world as a whole, hopefully, but we are saying goodbye to our starter island. We've been here for months and months, and we've had a wonderful time. We've built loads of awesome farms, we've got some pretty cool builds going on, and I do love just running around this place. But it's time for us to move on. We will be back here in future, of course. We'll probably still slot some farms in here and there where we've got space inside some of these buildings, but it's time for us to go start a new project. And this is going to be in a whole new area of the world with a whole new theme. But we'll get to the theme very shortly. First, what we actually need to do is discover where we're actually going to build. So we're going to be going on a bit of a flight, and that means I should probably take more than one pair of wings with me. I need to grab a whole bunch of rockets, and clearly I need to sleep before we set off. I've got an inventory full of rockets, and I've got spare elytra in my ender chest. I think it's time for us to go searching. And what we're going to be looking for is a massive mountain range. Not because we want to build in the mountains, but because we want to build in the valleys. So we actually need a couple of mountains, I guess, next to each other, and some kind of a valley for us to use. And if I remember correctly, there are a bunch of mountains off in this direction, but they're not particularly close. I think they're a good few thousand blocks away. So let's head off in this direction, see if we can rediscover the mountain range we found before, and hopefully we can find the perfect location for building ourselves a tiny world. I mean, this isn't quite what I was looking for, but oh my, look at that. That's an amazing cave entrance. We are definitely going to be back here to build at some point in future. Wow, what an area. Here we go, we've got some mountains rendering in. Definitely in new chunks here though, so can't be the area we saw before. Well, this area's not too bad. It's quite a nice valley, but I'm not too sure if it's going to be wide enough down here for what we want to do, although I do really like this bowl. After much umming and ahhing and looking at different valleys in this area, I think I've made a choice. And this is my choice. I mean, this area as a whole is just amazing. These mountains go on for absolutely ages, but this area here I think is going to have the right amount of space for me. Problem is, I really don't want this lump there. There we go, this is going to be much better to work with, and I guess it's probably time I told you what we're actually doing here. So as I said, we are moving on to a new theme, a new build area, and this section here is going to be the very start of that. And what we want to do is essentially make a tiny world, or a giant world, I guess, depending on how you look at it. So when I was growing up, I was a really big fan of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and in fact more recently I've been playing a game called Grounded, which should lead you a little bit more into this theme, but essentially I want to know what it's like to be a tiny person in a giant world. So we're going to be building things here that are massively oversized. In fact, the very first build we're putting here is going to be a giant matchbox. So this whole area is going to be overgrown. We're going to be removing a lot of the trees around the side here because they're going to kind of ruin the scale, I guess. Didn't really contemplate that when I picked this area. That's actually only just occurred to me. But we're going to be putting in lots of giant grass blades and things like that to essentially make this look like we've been shrunk down. But we can't just build an area with no purpose. And this area is definitely going to have a purpose. A long overdue purpose, in fact. And we're going to turn this into our centralized storage system for the world. So eventually it will be a massive automated storage system, hopefully sorting most, if not all, the items in the game. But obviously we're not going to do that in one episode. That would just be crazy. But for today, what I do want to do is some of the groundwork. So we're probably going to get the matchbox built up over here, although I do need to get some resources for that. And for the automated storage system to be effective, one thing we're definitely going to need is a lot more shulker boxes. So we're also going to have to go to the end at some point this episode, and we're going to make ourselves a shulker farm. But before we can even do that, I do need to repair these tools. They've been absolutely knackered by what's going on over there, of course. That took quite a while. And we need to gather lots and lots of resources, primarily terracotta. So let's quickly go do that, and then we'll come back here and make a start on this matchbox, and hopefully we can pull this off. It's a good start. I think we've got the basic shape in. I've started adding a little bit of detail, and we've put a design on the top here. And if you're familiar with UK matchboxes, you may recognise it a little bit, potentially, maybe, who knows. But I've also made a start on the entrance down here. We're going to have rips in the box, we're going to have tears and stuff elsewhere, we're going to have matches everywhere, but yeah, we've got a lot of texturing to do, so let's crack on. I'm I'm not so sure, you know. I've been going at this for a while now, putting down some things, working out how to do little weird grassy bits and whatnot, and, well, it turns out this is really, really difficult. I mean, it's not terrible, and I'm sure we'll get better at it over time, and we're probably going to end up changing a lot of this, but I'm just not 100% sold. From a distance, it's looking pretty good, but just up close, it's just really difficult to actually make this work. But I'm not a quitter, so we'll figure it out. Just not right now. Right now, we're going to go to the end and make a shulker farm instead while I contemplate my life choices once again. Crisis over. I've had a cup of tea. I mean, the crisis at the actual build site is still ongoing, but it's okay. We'll get back to that towards the end of the episode. For now, we're going to go and build that shulker farm. So I've been watching some tutorials, and I've basically found a really good one. I'll link to that in the description, and this is all the stuff I'm going to need. The good news is it's a single dimension shulker farm, which means it's quite easy to build. I can just go to the end, find a nice city, and build it over there. I don't think we've been here since we killed the dragon. Oh, no, actually, that's a lie. We came and stole an obsidian pillar last episode, didn't we? So it looks like the first time I came here, I went that way, which means any cities over there probably won't have shulkers in. So hopefully there's a city over here, I guess. Is my wings aren't in the best condition. There we go, much better. Wings are healed. Now we can go. Aha, finally, we found one. So this is actually about 2,000 blocks from that portal, but I've stayed quite close to the inner ring, so hopefully when we kill the dragon more, we'll actually end up with the portal quite close by. But importantly, there's shulkers here, look at that. So, safety first, let's get a pumpkin on. And what we want to do is just pick an area around here. And now it's time for me to follow a tutorial, so you're probably going to see a quick time lapse of this. But once it's all built, I'll try and explain how it works if I actually know. And, well, when I'm getting the shulker in, I'm of course going to bring you back for that, right? And now I need to get him. The question is, how do I get him all the way over there without too much trouble? I don't really know, so let's just go for it, I guess. And I think it makes sense for me just to build the rail up there first, and then we'll figure out how to actually capture the shulker without, well, flying away continuously. So we've got a big long path, and in theory, if we put an activator rail there and get that powered, stick a whole bunch of rail down all the way over to the city, and we should probably power occasional bits of that as well, shouldn't we? Let's be honest. And now comes the tricky bit, because the shulker's probably not going to be particularly happy with what I'm about to do, but we've got to get close to him, we've got to get this rail down, so do we just go for it? Let's actually get in line first. We want to make sure we're passing a minecart alongside the shulker, so somewhere here should be fine. Let's get another powered rail down. Let's just go for it. Okay, we'll do this. We'll get that powered. We haven't been hit yet, but there's quite a lot of projectiles flying around now, so that's probably not going to last much longer. Oh, there we go. We've been hit. Fair enough. See you in a minute, buddy. I think we're all clear. Let's try this again. See if we can get these last few bits of track down. Oh, there's two of them there. So my theory is if I just push a minecart down here, it should pick up one of those. Okay. Let's try this again, shall we? Give it a push. Yes, look at that. We've got one. And hopefully he will bounce back and get pushed back up this way. I have not put enough powered rail down. Oh, jeez. Okay, we just need to get a lever down, but we're flying away again currently. Okay, let's do this. Well, it looks like I'm going to need another minecart just to nudge this one along, because apparently the hitbox of the shulker is bigger than the hitbox of the minecart itself. Okay, there's so many projectiles here. This is crazy. Maybe I should have brought a potion of invisibility. That would have been smart, wouldn't it? And there we go. Okay, we've actually got one on the way. We've got two on the way. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, but hopefully at least one of them will end up in the farm proper. See if we can get over there and watch it happening. Okay, they're in. Excellent. Now, if we quickly get rid of all of this, in theory, we should end up with shulkers in the right place. How do we check that? Whoa! Really? Wow, they're following me from all the way over there. Come on, then. So, in theory, there should be snowballs. There should be some projectiles. Yes, look at that. Okay, so that's doing a thing. I just got hit with another projectile. Let's get right out of the way of this thing. And it looks like we're starting to get some shulkers teleporting around. They're getting picked up. They're getting put into the chamber. Ah, it's working. It's working! And I did say I'd explain how it works once it was built, but even after building it, to be honest, I still don't really have a clue. I just put the blocks where it told me to put the blocks, okay? But if you do want to know how to build this, apparently it does like somewhere between 400 and 700 shells per hour once it gets up to speed, which sounds absolutely marvellous. But this tutorial, I believe, was designed and built by someone called Dark, and the tutorial was by MD, so I've linked to that in the description, and if you do want to build it yourselves, go check it out. It was fairly straightforward, although a couple of mistakes were made during the build, but overall, it's fairly easy to build, and it didn't really take too long. And hopefully, we're now going to have an endless supply of shulkers. I mean, it certainly appears that way. We've got lots teleporting around, and they should start... I think they die from entity cramming. I think that's the kill mechanism. I don't know. But we're going to stand here for a little while. We're going to watch the farm, and hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of shulkers at the end of it. In fact, look, we can see them entity cramming already. I've had the farm running for about 10 minutes, and that's a ridiculous amount of shells. We're never going to want for shulkers again. But while I'm here, I'm going to go AFK for probably a good couple of hours. Let's see if we can get a couple of double chests of shells, and then we're probably never actually going to need to run the farm again, which is a good thing because that also means we won't have to come back here again, which is fantastic because I have absolutely no idea how to make this farm look good without creating lots and lots of spawnable spots for the shulkers. So, yeah, if we can just grab what we need and run, I'm fine with that. Well, I've been AFK much longer than I originally intended. Let's see how we're doing. Oh my. Oh my, 2.5 double chests, that's like 5 chests of shulker shells. I don't think I've ever had this many in my life. But safe to say that's going to be more than enough for our needs. So let's just clear some space here. And do I have any wood left anywhere? Can I make any more chests? Apparently not. I have not planned this very well, have I? So I've got all the shulker shells in the world and no way to turn them into chests. Although... there we go, that'll do. We'll just steal 5 of those. 5 and a bit boxes of shulker shells later. I think it's finally time to go home. Let's make sure I'm using the right pickaxe here. Silky, that's the one. Back at the Matchbox, we can carry on with what we were doing earlier, hopefully in a slightly better way. And I think it does actually already look better. I actually took down a lot of the grass that we had. I think that was the problem. I think it was just a little bit too busy. And the really big plant that we had here out the front during the time lapse, I do want to keep, just not here. It was kind of blocking the entire view. So I think I'm going to build some more stuff around the outside. We're going to make sure we have a big plant over the back, but I reckon we can definitely make this work. I've just got to make sure I don't clutter it too much, because if it looks a little bit too bitty, it's just not really going to work for us. I think the break to make the shulker farm was definitely beneficial. That is looking so much better than it did originally. If I actually land and go into free cam, we can have a proper look without me floating around. But yeah, this is definitely much more what I had in my brain. With the addition of these bits at the back as well, that's looking pretty good. But we will, of course, definitely need to remove these trees because that's kind of ruining the illusion at the moment. It's either remove them or just make really thick grass bits at the back here. So yeah, something's going to have to give there. I still haven't given the interior much thought yet, but I have been thinking about the exterior a little bit more. And we've got the matchbox, we've got the grass, but I think it needs something else right here. And there we go, that's looking much better. We have a giant licorice all-sort just sitting here, and I have absolutely no idea what we're going to do inside this place, apart from run away currently, because I didn't actually put any torches in there. Let's quickly sort that out. Well, I didn't have any torches, so glowstone will have to do, but there's not a lot of space in here, so there's probably not much we can do with the interior of this. It was more about the exterior, to be perfectly honest, and give a bit more colour to the area. But, thinking about it, actually, It is made of concrete powder. We could put a tiny little concrete maker in here or something like that. Who knows? But once again, if we go into free cam to get a proper look, this is really starting to come together. And I'm very pleased with how that's come along so far. But I'm going to need to give some thought to how we're going to do the interior of this. As I say, I do want this to be a massive storage area, which means we are, of course, going to be going underground and digging out massive, massive areas for auto-sorted storage. But the top here, I don't know. We'll figure it out, I guess. Last episode, we ditched our starter island, found a valley, and plonked down a giant matchbox as we kicked off our new build area, a giant tiny world. I'm still not sure what to call it currently. We also built an OP shulker farm in the end for infinite shulker boxes in preparation for building the ultimate storage system. And today we're going to make a start on that storage system over here at the Matchbox. But first, I need to do a lot of resource gathering. I mean, look at all that stuff I need. And yes, that does say dolphins. 70 days. It's been over 70 days of in-game time just collecting resources, but I think we've almost got everything we need. I mean, look, we're at day, what, 1,820 now? And yes, you did see me make a cactus farm there. I really needed green dye. But despite all our hard work and these last few boxes we still need to take over to the Matchbox, we're still actually missing a couple of things. The main one of those is actually redstone. I really am struggling for redstone. We even went mining for a couple of hours and I barely got a stack of blocks. So we're going to have to give that some thought on how we can get loads more redstone. And the other thing we're missing is amethyst crystals, but thankfully we can get those from just under our tavern here. A witch farm. That's what we need. We need a witch farm to make redstone. But the question is, how do I make a witch farm? To YouTube we go. So I've done a bit of research. I found a simple witch farm tutorial by Logical Geek Boy, and I think that's what we're going to do. But we do need to locate a witch hut to do it in, and of course we need to find some resources that we're gonna need redstone, aren't we? Dang it. I've scrounged together enough redstone to make this farm, and I've located a witch hut that we're going to use. I've actually gone through about 3 or 4 different witch huts around the area, and this is the only one that's even on water, let alone actually has some water around it. And that just means that the spawn proofing is going to be a little bit easier. So the farm we're going to build is by Logical Geek Boy. I have linked to that in the description. It's a very simple build. It could be a more complicated one and we could get more drops for it, but for the simplicity of it, it should give us exactly what we need. And hopefully that means it also won't take too long to build. And I think I should be able to get away with modifying the farm a bit as well, because we now have access to tinted glass, which judging by the tutorial probably wasn't out when it was made, but that should make this build a little bit smaller and mean that we don't actually need any of those slabs whatsoever. Just like that, the farm is complete. It basically just has 3 platforms where the witches can spawn. The trapdoors there will release water that washes them into this chamber here, and then they all get crammed into the pile of minecarts down there. There's 24 minecarts on the same space there, which creates entity cramming, which means if anything else falls in there, it will die very, very quickly. So I'm taking extra special care to avoid it. And then on the back here, we've just got a simple timing system that controls the trapdoors using a hopper clock and a pulse extender at the front here. But of course, in order to test it's going to work, there's one more thing we need to do, and that is to go upwards, and we need to make ourselves an AFK platform 113 blocks above. Well, it seems to be working. I've literally only just got to the platform at the top, and yeah, using our free cam here, we can see they're going in there and they're getting killed, which is exactly what we want. One more thing we need to do, though, is spawn-proof a little bit of the area around. So if we turn on our spawning sphere here using Mini HUD and go into free cam, we can have a little look and we can see where the spawning areas are. And to be honest, there are so few of them, just a few torches should do it. So we just need a few torches up on the hill here and a few little bits around the sides. I think we've spawn-proofed everything down here now, so we should be good just to run this farm for a bit and see how we get on. Well, it turns out, although the farm worked, it was quite slow, so I've made a couple of upgrades here so that we're not standing here for weeks and weeks and weeks. And now what we're actually doing, if I peek over the edge here, should be fairly obvious, but basically we're bringing all the witches up the top here now. Here we go. Look, we've got a few more coming in now, and that means I can stand here, I can use looting, and that means we're getting a lot more resources for our trouble. It also means we we can have more accessible storage up here, and I've even got this box at the end here which will destroy things we don't want and put them in lava. We haven't got an automated system or anything, but I do have this lever here, and this locks the hopper and stops anything I don't want to destroy going into this area down here. But after a bit of AFK, we have managed to get almost a chest of redstone dust, we've got a decent amount of glowstone, and we've even got a whole bunch of gunpowder as well. Everything else, however, has just been going straight into lava. The downside is I don't have a beacon set up over here at the moment, which means I can't go full AFK with looting because I'll eventually starve to death. However, it does get to a point where mob cramming starts working as well, or entity cramming, whatever you want to call it. But that means it does also work as an AFK farm as well as a looting farm. But for now, I think our work here is done. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to disguise this farm. I did have a bit of an idea before I decided to put a massive tube on it to feed all the witches up to the top, but I mean, what can I possibly do with that to make it look good? I do not know. So yeah, that's going to take some thought. It may even be a case of coming back and building an uber witch farm at some point in future and making that one look nice instead. I don't really know, but yeah, that's pretty rough. For now, though, it's finally time to head back to the Matchbox and make a start. Back over here at the Matchbox, this is everything we've been collecting and should enable us to actually make a good start on the storage system. However, before we can do that, we do need to do some digging, and I think this is where we're going to put in the bubble vator to get down into the system. But yeah, we've got a lot of digging to do. Progress. We've got a section above this one, which is where we're going to be putting all the sorting contraptions, or at least the initial ones. And then down here, this is our first floor entrance hall. There are going to be multiple floors, so we need to dig down there. And of course, we need to dig out the areas where we're going to be putting these sorting mechanisms. But before we can do any of that, I need to go fix my pickaxes because they're absolutely knackered. This is a lot of digging. I can't do it. I can't dig anymore. We have done so much digging down here. Yeah, too much digging. I've had enough. Let's talk storage systems. And we're going to talk about them over here in my creative world, where I've been messing around with storage systems for absolutely days, weeks, I don't even know. It's been a while. But the important things from my experiments are all over here. And these are all individual slices of the storage system, and they're going to work in different ways. The question is where to begin explaining this mess. Right, let's just start with some of the slices, shall we? This is a nice basic slice. Let's go with this one. So what I've done is I've designed it in such a way that the interior of the storage system, or at least the shape of it, will be consistent regardless of what the actual sorters behind them are doing. And these three slices here are the main three slices we're going to be using. This one here is just general storage, so this will sort items and stack them into these chests here, so this is good when we've got lots of an item. The next slice along is very similar, except this one here will actually sort two different items and put them into two separate chests, so this is for items we don't have as much of. And around the back here, as you can see, we've got two different channels that the items are going to be being fed along. And lastly, we have this complicated mess here. So this one here is actually a shulker box loader. So certain items we're obviously going to be having loads and loads of, in particular stone, especially after all that digging. And those items we're going to want to filter directly into a shulker box loader. So once again, the items will come across the top here. In fact, there'll actually be a honey block there as well. So the items will come across the top. They'll get filtered like normal. And what it will do is it will go down here into a shulker box. And then when that shulker box is full, that is going to get ejected. And that will filter down into here. And these boxes here are going to contain full shulker boxes of items. Once a full shulker box gets sent off, a new one will get dispensed from here. And we have another channel at the back here, which is purely going to be for empty shulker boxes. And that means we can keep the system full throughout. But until these are kind of a little bit more linked together, it's going to be kind of difficult, I guess, to explain certain things. And you may notice we also have a fourth slice in the back here. And this one, I don't think I'm going to be using, to be honest with you. There's way too many open hoppers. And with the size of the storage system, it's going to create a little bit too much lag. So hopefully that's helped explain it a little bit. But these are the three different slices we're going to use. And I've done it in this way so that as new items are added to the game, we can continually expand the storage system. We can just add new slices for new items as we need them. But like I said, I've been working on this for quite a while, and there is a little bit more. And this is my organization board. These are things I'm yet to figure out and design. And I mean, this one here, we know we can't do till 120, but I am hoping that the chiseled bookshelves are going to help us make a book sorter. And this over here is the flowchart of my storage system, at least the initial stages. There will be more to it as we go on, and by all means we are not going to do all of this in today's episode, but hopefully this will help give you an idea of what's going on. So we're going to have input chests, and then that's going to filter out normal items and shulkers. The shulkers would then be unloaded, and the shulkers themselves are going to get sent off around the shulker loader system, but everything that's been unloaded will then join into the all items section. That will then get filtered into a non-stackable sorter, so anything that cannot be stacked will get sent up the top here, and anything that can be stacked will carry on through a normal item filter, and will just basically go through the system as you'd expect. It will go through normal item filters. Anything that overflows will then go into the shulker loaders. The non-stackables, however, we will still have lots more sorting to do on these. So we're going to have a potion sorter, which will separate out the potions from all of these things. Everything else will carry on, and then we'll sort out all the minecarts. So this will actually sort every single type of minecart, including ones that are chest minecarts and so on, as you can see from this sign here. And they will then go through into a stackable item sorter, which once again is going to be the same as this sorter here, but separated. And what that means is that we can put all the stackables this way, which will be things like the TNT, the furnaces, the chests, and the hoppers, and all the minecarts themselves can then get sent off into storage. The items that can be stacked, however, will be looped back around and will join this flow here, and once again go into the normal system. Are you following me? This is all very confusing, isn't it? But once we've filtered out the potions and the minecarts, there's still going to be a whole load more non-stackables, and we're then going to sort out the full buckets, which I've yet to figure out on how to design, but I'm pretty sure that can be done. And once again, the non-stackables will carry on, and so on. And we're going to be sorting out as many of the non-stackable items as we can over time. So the initial system is going to have all of these things in it: the shulker loader, the minecart sorter, the potion sorter, as well as the non-stackables, the shulker unloader, the standard item sorter, and the dolphin resetter, which I haven't covered yet, but we will do. Dolphins are surprisingly useful for storage systems that are overly large. On this board here, I have a few other things that I will be adding to the system over time, and I'm sure that this list here will grow as well, but I reckon we can probably figure out a full bucket sorter and a boat sorter. Book sorter, as I say, probably not until 120, and we also want things like display boxes, so when we're gathering items, we can dump them all somewhere and then collect those on our way out, and so on. So hopefully that whirlwind tour has given you a little bit of information on how we're going to be doing things. But yeah, very confusing. But once it's all up and running and working, I'm sure it'll make perfect sense. But as I say, we are still working out the systems for the different sorters. In fact, this is the minecart sorter, and this is the potion sorter. But once again, we'll cover that later. For now, we're going to be building our first corridor, which is going to have a combination of these three slices. And, well, hopefully we can get that done. And have I even dug out enough space? I don't know. We might need to go wider. More digging. I'll be honest, it wasn't so bad that time, it was just a little dig. What was more painful, however, was making all the redstone components we're going to need for this first section, and I think we're going to use this one here, and we're going to make the sorting area for all the wood items. So I think the best thing for me to do is probably just to lay out where the chests are going to be first, and that should make placing the redstone a whole bunch easier. So that's all the chests in place. Now we need to sort out the redstone. And these ones here are fairly straightforward. They're all just the standard sort of impulse SV sorters. So yeah, lots of hoppers, lots of redstone. And I'll bring you back in once this is all sorted. We've now got all the redstone in on both sides, and I've managed to get the water streams in as well. So this one at the top here goes this way, and the one at the bottom goes that way, and that's the same on the other side as well. So the items are going to come in this way, they'll go round the top of the system here, then they'll drop down, and then they'll go around the bottom of the system. However, it's not linked up at the back here yet, and that's because I need to sort out this area here. So for this side, in fact for the wood one, I think I'm just going to put in some manually sorted chests for now, because we're probably going to want to put some sorting systems in for these eventually, but until we work out exactly where everything's going to go, I think that'll be wise. Because this way we can keep a little bit of flexibility going. There we go, that'll do for that side. It's a little bit dark, but we'll sort out the lighting in a minute. In fact, I think we're probably at a stage now where sorting out the interior here wouldn't be such a bad idea. We know all of this is working, we do need to make it look nice in here, and then we can move on to the next section, which is going to be that side obviously, because we've dug that one out, and then start linking everything together. But yeah, let's make this look nice first, shall we? So we'll get some stairs in along the bottom here, and then we'll make these beams here look a bit nicer as well. So if we do some trapdoors, maybe add some stairs, and some at the top as well. Yeah, that looks a bit nicer, doesn't it? So let's get that repeated all the way across. Then we're going to use frames to indicate what is in each row, because the reason I've done these in sections of 10 is because there's, well, at the moment there's 9 different sort of wood types. There's the 7 main ones, then there's the 2 nether-based ones, but we do have bamboo coming, so I've made sure we've got space for that as well. And these chests at the back here we'll just label as they are. So next up, I want to sort out the ceiling, but I've forgotten to bring any of the leaves with me, and we're going to make this whole area here look woody, because it is the wood area, and when we actually do the other sections, we're going to theme them to the kind of resources that are in them. But yeah, that does mean we need to go get a bunch of leaves for this one, and I need to get my green dye, which I've left back at home, so we can dye that terracotta and get the floor sorted too. We should have what we need now, and I think what I'm going to do is put a little barrier of dark oak here, and then we're going to build up with some terracotta on top, and then add some leaves in, and hopefully it's going to give us kind of an indoor-outdoor feel in this storage room. So adding this terracotta in should mean that the leaves on the other side here have a little bit more colour, because we don't want to be able to actually see through and see the stone at the top there. That's just not going to look good whatsoever. So let's spam a bunch of leaves in the middle here. And then in the gaps, we're going to put some fences, because that will look a little bit like trellis from the inside, and it also gives us somewhere to actually hang the lights from, which would be quite nice. And then we'll put more lime terracotta on the top here, and a torch just in case. And then from the bottom here, we're going to add some dingly-dangly bits. And then we're going to use chains and end rods to add some lighting to the area, and hopefully this is going to look quite good. Yeah, I think that's going to work quite well. Let's just do this on the rest of these sections, and then hopefully that'll be the ceiling done. You know what? I'm really pleased with that. I think that's come out very well. It's very simple, but it does the job nicely and doesn't intrude too much on the chests or anything like that. But now we need to sort out the floor. So let's get all this stone removed first. And let's start with a base of green terracotta. Okay, not bad, but it's still looking a little bit bland, isn't it? So I'm going to do something I'm probably going to regret down the line. And I wonder if maybe we can get away with adding some kind of an icon or something here. Maybe something like that, just to show that there's definitely trees in there. I think that actually looks quite nice, doesn't it? And for now, on this one here, we'll just put a little pattern in. I do actually have an idea of something we want to put in the middle of this. And I think it makes sense just to repeat that on this one here as well for now. Ah, love it. That's looking really cool. Awesome. Now we just need to actually populate the whole storage center. But for that, I'm actually going to need at least some of every single wood type, because I do need to indicate what's what. And I do wonder if maybe we do that here. And I think we're done. So I've actually just used stair variants of the wood types so we can see what's in each column. And the idea is that this one here would be warped slabs, for example. And that should work throughout the entire system. However, I have concluded that I do actually need a few more sortable areas, because we've still got these 4 items here, which I haven't actually got a proper shelf for. But then I'm not going to end up with loads and loads of them. So I'm not too sure what to do. I mean, maybe I could put like a multi-item sorter there. I don't really know. That's going to take a little bit more fiddling around. But for now, they'll be absolutely fine as manual storage. With our automated storage system well underway in our tiny big world, in fact, I've actually done a little bit more planning and digging between episodes, but we'll get to that later. We still have one quite major problem: a lack of redstone. We did solve it a little bit in last episode with a witch farm, but it's still taking too long to get for my liking. However, some lovely people in the comments have reminded me that there is, in fact, another way. Clerics, which means we can, of course, buy redstone, and with all the rotten flesh we've been getting from our mob farm, we can even just sell them the rotten flesh and then convert it into redstone. So there is a solution, but there's also another problem that comes along with that. Currently, we don't have a structure up here in which we can actually put a trading hall, and that means we need to build something new, which actually I'm very, very excited about, and I completely missed my landing there. But although we don't have a structure out here at the moment, I believe I have the perfect idea of what we can do, although I haven't decided where to put it yet. So if you've been around the channel for a while, you may be well aware that I really, really, really like tea. Yep. I mean, I am British after all. It's to be expected. But what's a cup of tea without a lovely biscuit to dunk in it? And before you all start kicking off in the comments, I mean British biscuits, not those American ones with gravy. I still don't quite understand that. But we're talking about proper biscuits like bourbons and custard creams. And of course, the king of biscuits, the Jammy Dodger. And the Jammy Dodger is going to be our inspiration for today's build. But first, we've got to go do some research. That was some extremely tasty research, but I probably should have kept one for reference. But now the research is complete, let's pick a location. So, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe down here might work quite well. Let's get a bit more a bird's eye view from the top of the mountain up here. So there's a few things we need to consider, one of which is, of course, scale. And scale, right, so a Jammy Dodger compared to a Matchbox. Probably similar. I'll say the diameter of a Jammy Dodger is fairly spot on to the width of the Matchbox down there. So if we were to put it maybe down here somewhere, I reckon that could work quite nicely. So if this is going to be the location, I think my best bet is probably just going to be to grab a whole bunch of sandstone, as that's probably the most biscuity coloured block we have, and start marking out a circle down here where it's going to go. Size-wise, I think that's going to be about right for us. That should keep it in scale with everything else. However, before we actually do any more of the building, there's a couple of other things I want to sort out. One of which is the floor here, and the second, of course, is going to be getting some villagers because, well, we can't have a trading hall without them. And that means we're going to need to find ourselves a village somewhere nearby. I don't even know where one might be around here. We need to bring some villagers over here, and I think it makes sense to maybe just stick a villager breeder in the middle here, just a temporary one, so that we can get those villagers coming while we're actually trying to build up the biscuit itself. That's a bit better to work with, but now we need to build ourselves a quick villager breeder. So I'm going to see if I've got any glass, a bit of water, and maybe a couple of signs, and that should pretty much do it. So this doesn't need to be anything fancy. We can just put a little holding chamber here for a couple of villagers, and then we'll have some little chambery thingies going on over here. We're going to need to get ourselves a bunch of beds as well, so yeah, that means we probably have to go kill some sheep, I guess. We haven't got any wool over here. Then if we put a trapdoor here and another one here, and then stick one there as well. And I think other than the water and the beds, we're pretty much there. And of course the villagers, we're going to need villagers too. So the breeder is now ready to be populated. Let's go find ourselves some villagers. Well, I have found a village, but it's about 500 or so blocks away. We're actually over the other side of this little hill mountain thing here, so that means we need to get all the way over there with a villager. And I think the easiest way for me to do that is actually just going to be to build a nice big bridge and stick some rail on it. I forgot to put the water in. And that's villager number 2 in place. Perfect. So now what I need to do is I need to go give them some food. And for that, I think we're going to make a bunch of bread in our windmill. Eat well, here's all the bread you're gonna need. There we go. And hopefully we'll get some babies out of that. And it looks like it's working. They're making babies. So what we can now do is get rid of all this mess, which is, yeah, that's gonna take a few minutes. But then we can actually make a start on this biscuit. And there's our first baby. Good stuff. I think that's looking pretty good, and scale-wise, I think that matches up nicely as well. However, it's a bit too pristine for a discarded biscuit in a garden. Okay, that's definitely looking a lot better. It looks a bit more broken now. It looks like someone's taken a munch out of the side of it. And with all these little broken bits of biscuit and jam around the side, that does help pull it together. However, we've still got a lot of landscaping to do around here, but we're going to come back to that in a little while because I do want to start sorting out the inside here, and I have marked out where the villagers are going to go. The problem we've got is we still don't really have enough villagers. We need a lot more than that to actually fill this trading hall. I mean, I could start messing around with those ones, but I'm going to run out pretty quickly. So instead, I think I'm going to leave them to breed and continue getting lots and lots of villagers. And in the meantime, we're going to head down into storage because, as I did mention at the start of the episode, we have made a bit of progress, but there's a bit more progress I want to make, and I'm just making sure I've got some rockets before I go down here. So last episode, we did sort out the wood room, which is looking pretty good. And today, we're going to be sorting out this one. I've actually already put all the sorters in, all the redstones in for the back of these, which is basically what has led to me running out of redstone again and the whole need for this villager trading hall in the first place. And I think I've worked out what's going to go where in this room as well, and this is going to be our stone room, our sort of cave and stone room. So it's going to have all the stone types and so on. So in here, I guess the first thing I'm going to need to do is actually go and grab all of the items that we're going to be sorting in here, get them laid out so I can see exactly where things are going to go, and then we're going to decorate this place and make it look nicey-nicey. And as I say, this one looks very woody, this one is going to look very stone and cavey. And hopefully that's going to give more than enough time for the villagers to breed up so we can get back to sorting out the trading hall later on. Well, I made it back and I've planted everything here where I think it wants to go, where it's going to be sorted. There are a few empty slots as well, which is good, and we're ready to decorate. That previous clip was actually about 3 days ago. I've been quite ill. I pretty much lost my voice and I wasn't really able to record, which was, well, a bit of a pain in the butt, to be honest with you, because this episode's now running quite late. And you may be able to tell my voice isn't quite back, but I couldn't hold on any longer because it's now day 1965, which means we're almost at 2,000 days. And to be honest, I'd quite like to finish the projects we've got ongoing before we get to the 2,000 days. And no, I don't mean the entire storage room. That would be utter madness. However, while I've been ill, I have been busy. I've basically laid out the next 2 corridors as well. We've got other stuff we know is going to be going in those. And I've even started digging out the next floor. But what I want to do now is decorate this cave. And we're probably going to replace a lot of this dark oak with stone. We're going to have lots of mossy bits going on as well. And at the end here, I think we're going to stick a great big geode in because that'll look quite cool. Maybe even a bit of dripstone. Who knows? Conveniently, we've got plenty of stone here because we've been doing a lot of digging. And yeah, we're going to make good use of the cobble and all the other bits and bobs that are in here as well. However, I do need to grab some moss. So we're going to go grab that from home and then we'll make a start. Well, that's coming along quite nicely. We just need to sort out the rest of it now. There we go. I think we're just about done in here. The one last thing I do need to do is actually get frames on at the top here. And of course, I need to make sure that things are actually going into the right boxes. We haven't set up the filters yet. Oh, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, this is where I'm going to regret what I did on the first one. We need to put an icon of some sort here. So I'm just thinking, although this is a cave, there's a lot of stony, mountainy type bits in here, and I don't think making a cave icon's going to look particularly good. So let's see if we can get away with making some kind of a mountain. Maybe something like that. How's that looking? A little bit square, isn't it? Okay, let's see if we can fix this. Okay, that's looking much better. I think we'll stick with that. However, I do wonder, can we get away with putting like a little cave entrance on the front here, or is that going to look weird? No, that's going to look weird. That is now all sorted. We've got all the frames on. We've even sorted out the filters around the back, so everything should be going into the right place now. We just need to grab a little bit of dripstone to put in that space there. But I think, other than that, that's 2 rooms down. Only 10 more to go. But we've probably got lots of... Why is my arm stuck like that? I can't put my arm down. What in the world? Distractions aside, we've probably got enough villagers now, so let's go back up the top there and see if we can get this trading hall running. And see if we can find a doctor to fix my arm. Oh my. That is a lot of villagers, to the point where they're doing some weird, crazy dance because they can't find space. So, I think it's safe to say we've definitely got enough villagers. We're ready to start on the hall up here. However, I have realised I need one more thing. Brewing stands. Lots and lots of brewing stands, and for that, I'm going to need blaze rods. And I'm pretty sure I don't have any at home. Nope, we don't even have one. And we have no brewing stands either. So, well, I guess there's only one thing for it. There we go. And we're also going to need some powered rail. We're going to need a... Ooh, we're going to need a dispenser, not a dropper. Do we have any bows laying around? No, but we have a little bit of string. That'll do. So I think we have everything we need to get these villagers in place now. I just need to build a little contraption here so we can actually snag them out of there. So if we just put a dispenser here and have some rail going up, that should snag them out of the corner as they go past. Although, I'm going to need to power those rails. And if we put a minecart in there and a button on the side, that should Snag us a villager. Brilliant. Before we get them into place, however, I do want to decorate this up a little bit more, make it look a bit nicer, and I need to make sure they can't escape, of course, but I also want to make sure that these guys have really good deals, and that means I'm going to need a zombie curing station of some kind. So I guess I'm going to have to wait for it to get dark and see if I can snag myself a zombie that can hold a sword, and I need to build myself a little contraption over here to actually contain him in and cure these dudes. And I'm 100% turning down villager sounds while I'm in here. This is crazy loud. Look at that silence. So something like that should do. I can trap the zombie in there. I'll push the slab down so he's trapped. And then I should just be able to hook up this rail. And my plan is that we'll actually cure multiple at the same time. The only thing we're actually going to be lacking in regards to the curing is a little bit more gold. So we need to catch a zombie, we need to get some gold, we need to also make some potions of weakness. So I guess we've got our work cut out for us before we can actually take this any further. I've managed to claw together enough gold for a stack and a bit of golden apples, which is going to be enough to cure at least a bunch of these, but probably not all of them. And I've got lots and lots of potions of weakness, and apparently that box is just an empty box. I guess I don't need that one there. That was an absolute nightmare. Basically, they just wouldn't want to connect to their workstation, so I had to set them all free, let them find their own workstations, and then they all reconnected, and for some reason half of them just didn't have their discount anymore, so then I set the zombie free to let him do his thing, and at least that worked, I guess. But we've managed to get him back and he's home now, and the good news is we've now got low trades all over the place, so we can exchange 1 rotten flesh for 2 redstone. And with the amount of flesh we've got, that means we're going to have a buttload of redstone. In the bad news department, however, we can't actually do any more on the trading hall right now because we're out of gold once again, and I need a lot more golden apples. We used the stack and a bit we had on those ones, especially considering we had to do some of them twice. But now, though, I think I'm going to do a whole bunch of trading to get a load more redstone, and I suppose this is probably going to work as a nice little XP farm as well, which is good. We like. And then we're going to head back outside and actually do some of the landscaping around here. Really is looking a bit bland on the outside, isn't it? So I think what I want to do is maybe connect up the path here, get all this bit sort of connected, and at the same time, I need to put lots of grass and foliage and stuff around here. Of landscaping out the front here, and it's definitely starting to look better, but we've got a long way to go. I didn't realise quite how much space there was between the 2 buildings, and I was hoping to get this all done before day 2000, but this is as far as we've got because it's day 2000. Yay! Day 2000.